times.
We're going to call the meeting to order at 6:09. Hugs are happening. Okay. When hugs are happening, it's a joyful day. Will you please join me to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Staff recognition?
Good evening, everyone. So
Good
I
evening.
am here to talk about, we had an amazing employee recognition night last week. We got to celebrate lots of people, which I'm going to share with you now. First, we had 3 distinguished service members. These are support staff members who do everything to keep our district up and running. So we had Connie Dunkel, who's the registrar and administrative assistant at Old Bonham. We had Megan Dolan, who is here at the high school as the library administrative assistant and actually helps at the front desk and many other things, registrar, backup, and all kinds of things. So, and then last we have Emily Engelmeyer, who is our nurse at Reed Elementary, and who'll be moving to LMS next year as our floating nurse for the district. So 3 amazing people who do all kinds of things to support our district. And then moving into the Teachers of the Year, we have Mary Bentrup from LECC as one of our preschool teachers. Stacy Butts from Old Bonham as the reading specialist. Stacy also is our OASIS coordinator, so she does a lot with the community too. Sarah Schwartz, who from Reed Elementary, who's our music teacher over there. Peter's kids have probably performed for her too, as mine did. Linda Armbruster at Conway Elementary. She's a 3rd grade teacher there. She's pretty amazing. Michelle Ross at Spady Elementary. She's the speech language pathologist. Tony Simmons, who is a math and social studies teacher at the 5th grade center on Team Earth. Tori Palumbo at LMS. She's a 7th grade ELA teacher. And then last but not least, we had Sarah Kirksey, who's here from the high school. She is the journalism teacher, and she actually won the District Teacher of the Year. So pretty amazing. All of our teachers are super amazing. And then we had retirees, too, that we celebrated, and then our new Ladue Legacy award winners, which Jeff Capello was one of them. And I'm going to pass it over to Kimberly now, or maybe Marissa.
It's me.
Marissa.
Sorry, my computer froze. Okay. I'm going to keep it really short tonight. I want to thank Layla for the last PD day of the year. It sounds like it was a great day, and hope everyone got out to vote for the things in your community that you care about. And I just want to, again, thank Jeff Capello for his 15 years of service on the school board. As I said in the video, you've been a friend and a mentor to me, and excited for your next chapter in your 2nd retirement. So we're on the final push of the school year, 6.5 weeks left. Lots of exciting things coming up. Just to put in a plug, April 23rd is Rams Around the World, which is basically the high school's version of Passport Night from 5 to 7 right here in this room and in the cafeteria. So it's open to the whole community. I hope that you will join. And just, keep our teachers in your thoughts as they make the race to the end of the school year with standardized testing and AP exams, MAP testing, and all of the testing. So thank you so much. And Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Marissa. Just real quickly, I just wanted to highlight a few special events that have occurred and a few quick comments to our community. On Wednesday, April 2nd, we hosted our parent university. We had been talking about that for quite some time, and we were able to pull it off, although, Derek, it was a little bit sketchy for a while, wasn't it? With the, with the tornado and everything in the area. But we were able to conduct it, and I will tell you, Derek, thank you for your work with your community education team, because it was a great event. As Keisha said, great content, was there. We wish we could have had a few more people there, but we understand when you're braving a tornado, it may be best to stay home. So we totally get it. But it was a fantastic event. It was organized really well, and I look forward to that being a yearly tradition. On Thursday, as Julie had mentioned, we did celebrate our Employee Recognition Night, so I'm not going to go back all through that again, other than to thank not only Julie and the HR team, but Kimberly and the communications team, because you guys did a great job. I thought it was absolutely outstanding. And this past Saturday, our high school students were able to experience prom. As superintendent, you hope for two things. One, that they have fun, and two, that everybody is safe. And I can say that both of those things happened. So we're excited about that. It is a mark, though, right? It's another thing that we start to check off as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. And I continue to work closely with Jeff. We're monitoring the legislation. We had the opportunity to talk at Parent University to a group of parents. We're going to continue to monitor legislation. I just want to offer this opportunity to our community, is that we are going to have a special board legislative work session on Monday, April 22nd, to talk about some of the legislation that's out there that can directly impact not only Ladue, but public schools. The session will begin at 6 o'clock, and it will be over hopefully right around 8 o'clock. So with that being said, Jeff, thank you, all right? And we look forward to still seeing you, right? Although it may not be at board meetings. I think you've had your fair share of those, but thank you for your service to the Ladue School District and our students. So that is it. Thank you.
Jeff, you look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I think I've said it all before. I do feel, as I look here, that I'll be leaving the board in good hands, not only with my existing colleagues, but the two new people who are coming in. And as I also mentioned before, it's going to be a challenge because education is under attack. And, I think you're up for it. You can do this. And I will be around. Just not at board meetings. No. Thank you.
Maybe if there's cupcakes, just saying. Thank you, Jeff. Are there any board, committee, or school liaison reports?
I just wanted to add in a quick one, which is in no way related to Reed. I just wanted to thank not only Kimberly, Fern, Keisha, Jim for organizing the high school advisory committee that we had earlier this week. It really is, I know obviously I talk a lot about Reed because both my kids are there, but it really is a pleasure to see the perspective of those kids in the high school, and I really appreciate all of the work that goes into to not only getting them together, but to facilitating those meetings. And it's very, very helpful because these are some of our strongest kids in the district, and to get their perspective on where they need support is very enlightening, not only as a board member, but also as a parent. So were it not for those meetings, I wouldn't have that. So thank you for the perspective on those, and I really look forward to sharing that with our new board members as we keep going forward, as Jeff said. So thank you.
I'll just echo Peter's sentiments. It's always great to hear the student voice, and they're not shy of sharing their thoughts. So I think that the student advisory groups are something that have added value to the board for us to be able to hear from our students, hear what they want, hear their desires, and hopefully one day we'll have a student board member. So that's one of my wants. So thank you.
I had a quick note that was sent to me that I may have left off the date. April 22nd is our legislative work session. Did I say that? Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay. Any other board or committee reports? Okay. I do not have any public comment cards, so we will move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Oh, sorry, second.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. We're ready for Fern, for the administration of the oaths of office. Bye, Jeff.
Hold on, Jeff.
He really just got up and walked away. I'm out, okay. All right, Fern is our board secretary. Fern Wagstaff will administer the oaths of office for our new board members. So if you would like to come forward, Amy and Robert.
Ashley, let's come up here. Come on up. So I will read, and you will repeat, and I will do one at a time. So we'll do me first. So, I, Amy Hammerman,
I, Amy Hammerman,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Missouri,
of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of the school director
the duties of the school director
in and for the school district of the city of Ladue,
the school district of the city of Ladue,
St. Louis County, Missouri,
St. Louis County, Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law.
according to law.
Welcome. Thank you. Oh. This side. Actually, you need to raise your right hand according to the rules. I, Robert Snedman,
I, Robert Snidman,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Missouri,
of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of school director
in and for
the school district of the city of Ladue,
the school district of the city of Ladue,
St. Louis County, Missouri,
St. Louis County, Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
according to law.
Thank you, Fern. That was beautifully done. So Robert, it appears you are on the right side, and you need to be. It does not matter to me. Welcome. Welcome, Robert and Amy, to the big table. Okay. We will now move on to the election of officers. Dr. Whipke?
Yeah, at this time, I will call for nominations for board president.
I would like to nominate Marissa Rosen.
Second.
Marissa Rosen has been nominated for the position of Board President. Are there further nominations? All in favor of electing Marissa to the position of Board President, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Marissa, you are now elected as the Board President. Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to call for nominations for Board Vice President.
I would like to nominate Jennifer Gross-Oshnick for Vice President.
Jennifer Gross-Soshnick has been nominated for the position of Board Vice President. Are there further nominations? All in favor of electing Jennifer Gross-Soshnick to the position of Board Vice President, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Jennifer Gross-Soshnick is now elected Board Vice President. Congratulations. The President will now call for nominations for Board Secretary and Treasurer.
At this time, I will call for nominations for Board Secretary.
I'd like to nominate Peter Garapi.
Peter Garapi has been nominated for the President of Board Secretary. Are there any further nominations? All in favor of electing Peter Garapi to the position of Board Secretary, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, congratulations, Peter.
Thank you.
At this time, I will call for nominations for Board Treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Keisha Lee.
I'll second.
Keisha Lee has been nominated for the position of Board Treasurer. Are there any further nominations? All in favor of electing Keisha Lee to the position of Board Treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Keisha Lee is now elected the Board Treasurer. Thank you. Congratulations. And we will continue the reorganization over the next week where we work on selecting the schools and committees that we would like to be a part of. So that will be, there will be a Google form sent out by Fern so you can sign up and then we can have continued conversation if necessary. All right. Dr. Whipke, you have a policy for us?
Yes, and we've talked about this. This is really the financial disclosure that MEC that you all fill out. And basically with this, nothing's changed with this policy. They just have requested, MSBA has requested that we adopt it each year. So we're just going through the process of adopting it again. So I would ask that the board approve the adoption.
Great. Is there a motion to?
So moved.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Keisha.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then Jeff with a CRALO pay application.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to our two new board members and all the elected officers this year. We do have good news to report. This is our final pay application for CRALO for the West Campus Plaza Bathroom Addition. This pay application is for $26,491.03. This does close out the project, which had an original budget of $904,000, and we actually came in about $17,665 under budget. So it was a very good project, and we did hit that budget mark.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Macy? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the pay application in the amount of $26,491.03 for CRALO?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Keisha. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to information, Dr. Wallace?
Good evening and welcome to our newly elected board members. Tonight I am going to briefly give an update on summer programming. White button, okay. Okay, so strategic plan, this is an objective under that plan, and the items listed have a check to demonstrate that we have fulfilled those aspects of the strategic plan. Our summer programs, and if you all are thinking, didn't we just see something like this a few months ago? You did, but we're up here, we have a few new board members, and just wanted to give kind of an update as we enter this upcoming summer. So at the elementary level, we have Summer Leap program. It runs for 3 weeks, and it really focuses on reading and math interventions. The middle school, we have Summer Academy. That's for all students entering 6th grade through 8th grade. It's a fun 3-week opportunity as well. It's not like the traditional, math, science, and reading. We have a leader, Lisa Stein, Dr. Stein. She provides leadership, and students rotate, and there's hands-on learning opportunities and whatnot for our kiddos. High school is more of a traditional credit recovery program, and then we have 2 enrichment opportunities, ACT Prep. We offered that for the first time last summer. It was a huge success, so we're going to offer it again next school year, and then Camp Legacy. So our LEAP program, typically we have 25 slots per elementary school, including the LECC. So currently right now, our LECC team are facilitating the kindergarten enrollment process. Through that process, students are being identified that could possibly use some additional support as they enter the kindergarten level. So students are identified that way. Philosophically, we have a 10-to-1 student to teacher ratio. We also have embedded ESOL support built into the program. Several years ago, that was a separate program, but we decided to bring all of our programs into one program so that we can maximize student needs. We also have reading specialists also built into the program, and again, the focus is on reading and math during this process. Transportation is available for all of our programs. That's just another commitment that we have made. So again, our middle school program, it's a 1-to-10 ratio. We hope to have 40 students enrolled every year. Last year, we actually hit that mark of 40 students, which was great because we have another great opportunity for kids to learn and have fun. Several years ago, we wanted to make sure that we boosted up the fun element for our middle school kids. And so they have responded to, yes, this is fun, and we also are learning. Again, transportation is provided as well. The high school credit recovery program, we typically have 50 slots with a little less than 50 students that participate, but it certainly is available. The interesting thing with, I would say, high school credit recovery and even high school enrichment, there's so many virtual options right now. So we partner with Launch, which is a program facilitated out of Springfield Public School System, but there are a host of other approved programs, and so that's a little level of competition with some of our programs. This is a online-based curriculum where our students will come and focus on some core curriculum. They also will have some embedded support while they're facilitating, trying to earn their credit. The most a student can earn for summer high school credit recovery is 1 full credit. I would say most of our students finish with earning 1 full credit. Enrichment. So Camp Legacy. Last year was our first year of actually having a full 6 weeks worth of program offerings. We started with two weeks 4 years ago, and we maximized and we're up to 6 weeks, and it's just been a wonderful thing to kind of watch this grow and evolve. Mr. Birnbaum is the site director for this program. As you know, he is retiring, and so he will provide leadership for the first 4 weeks, and the last 2 weeks we have another teacher leader who is going to take over those last 2 weeks of July. We had about 330 some odd students participate in the program last summer. We constantly received tons of positive feedback, and we also encourage other offerings and opportunities and those types of things. And so we embed different opportunities and enrichment over the 6-week course. Parents can choose to sign their kid up for the entirety of 6 weeks, or they can choose weeks 1 through 6. Lastly, ACT prep. It was a thought that I had, and I'll have to publicly admit that I thought it was easier than it was. And so in my mind, you just offer an ACT prep course. Like, who wouldn't want to participate in something like that? Well, one, it was over the summer. Forgot that, high school kids specifically don't necessarily like to sit in a class for an hour and a half focusing on ACT prep. But we had a max of 25 kids. 25 kids originally signed up. And one student, I would say 2 weeks in, just decided that it was not an option that they wanted to move forward with. So 24 kids, and it was during July and the first week or so of August. And it was quite interesting to see the kids, really engaged. I also asked feedback from them. One, is it worth it? They said yes. I said, what about the timing? No. So they didn't really like coming to this building in July learning. The intention was to provide an offering for the October test date. And most of the students in the class actually were currently rising juniors. And so so I've taken that feedback and I've gone back to the company, and I've also solicited feedback from our high school administrative team and our college and career office. And we're looking to offer a 12-week offering on Saturday mornings. And so I think that will bode over a little better for a lot of our kids. And we also have the potential to certainly maximize having 25 kids. And if we do maximize that, we can certainly offer another offering. But looking forward to it. It's another great opportunity for our community. And the target for this offering will be the December test date. Quick and easy. What questions do you have?
Go ahead.
Did you have one?
I'm going to go after
No.
you. No, I actually would like to hear your question. Mine's not that great. So the December ACT, so is it going to be Saturdays in the fall? When are you going to run Saturdays? Is it just out of curiosity, people ask? Saturdays in the summer? Saturdays in the fall? When you switch to the 12-week, once a week on Saturday?
In the 12 Saturdays leading up
So
to?
12 Saturdays starting in September.
Go ahead.
Yep, and so we looked at that. It's a good question. So there is actually still an October date. And so the intention is there's an October date, and students will have had several weeks of prep time, and if they choose to participate in the October test, they certainly can. But really the target is to hit or prepare them for the December testing.
So very generally speaking,
Yep.
what did the college and career counselors, if anything, what was their feedback on the improvement of those 25 kids, if any? Because I think that it's such a great thing that we're offering, and I wish that there was a wait list of 300 kids to do it, because I'm wondering if that's something that we can kind of tout or not, or if you got feedback or.
So there is a way to actually look at the hard data of that. And so it's somewhat student-driven, though. So at the beginning of the course, the kids actually have to turn in, if they so choose, to turn in a recent ACT score. And then they go and take the test. And then they have to go back in and then report that same information. And so I would say, because this is running not through the high school's college and career department, is running through my community education, is not necessarily lock and step that way. However, the company, again, according to data, they really want to offer at least a 10-week course. And so it's specifically designed to give strategy and problem-solving skills and things like that. And so at the end of the day, what they promise is, or what they promise is probably too strong of a word, what they suggest a student will will improve, that is anywhere from 2 to 4 improvement points from the previous.
So you're getting feedback from the company, not from our college and career?
So I received feedback from the students
Yeah.
that participated, received feedback from the company who runs it, but also specifically the teacher who actually led it, and also then some feedback from our college and career department
Okay,
with the offerings.
got it.
Is the target the right, target time frame during the day? Should we have it in the afternoon? Should we have it in the morning? Those types of things. I'm not here at the high school, so that feedback helps us with problem. So
Yeah, this is like a very 60,000-foot view, because I'm very not, but I would hope that our college and career office felt very invested in the work that you are doing to bring this to the kids, and I just my mind is going, is that investment from them happening? And I don't know, I just was curious if we can do more to help you bridge that, because it seems like that would be a very natural
it's a good question. Yeah.
support.
Yeah. So
And if that's not
I would
happening, then
say
what are we doing?
yes, there is a direct connection, and they do, I would say, feel supported. And basically, what I tell them is, they're the experts in this. I'm just trying to have other offerings through
Yeah.
community education.
Yes.
And so anytime we move forward with any planning, they are directly a part of the planning.
And
so
you're getting the feedback and the support from that avenue that you need for
100%.
this? Because
Here's the other connection.
they're on the ground floor with the, they're
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
they should,
So, but here's the deeper connection. The company that we're using are already here at the high school, working during seminar. And so they already have relationships with the families, they have relationships with our high school administrative team, and they also have a relationship with our college and career office. And so that's how closely connected everything is.
perfect.
Yeah. And my hope too is that we eventually have waiting lists for an opportunity like this.
So, okay, it's my turn now. With the ACT prep, I'm glad to hear that we're having that. My question was going to be, before you pivoted to the Saturdays that's not in summer. But my question is, it's only offered to juniors and seniors. So in part of the discussion that we had.
It's targeted to that group.
Yeah, but part of the discussion that we had in board advisory was that we should be offering it sooner. So is there any way that possibly maybe sophomores would have an opportunity? I know historically, there's some kids taking the ACT in middle school. So, I mean, the more that they get familiar, the better scores that they'll get. So I wonder if possibly sophomores might be available if we're not getting the traction from the juniors and seniors.
100%. So the way that the enrollment process looked last year, we opened it up to the rising seniors first. Then we opened it next to the juniors. Then, if there were any slots left, anybody could sign up.
Okay.
And so that's just how it was. But again, my hope out of community education, this is just an offering. Just like
Correct.
after-school activities, this is just an offering. But to the point that you're raising, can we have opportunities like this younger and younger? Absolutely, I think we can. This is just year 2 of attempting to pull something like this off. Making sure that we, outside of seminar class, that we have these opportunities for kids. So I think that there's absolutely room to grow and to provide all sorts of opportunities.
And this is free?
No, because it's community education, it's a paid experience. It's a fee-based opportunity.
Okay.
And we did not have any families last summer to reach out for assistance.
Okay.
There is
Roughly, we're looking at, the sessions will be 90-minute sessions. And so there are all sorts of ACT prep courses and SAT prep courses within the footprint of the school district that's offered. And we're looking at charging anywhere from $45 to $50 a session, which is extremely reasonable if you go out and do your own research on what it costs in a comparable opportunity for kids.
And it is offered for free during the seminar. The 4 sessions is offered for free.
That's free during
Yeah.
the school year.
Okay. And I had one more question about the credit recovery. I know that you said that the most a student can earn is 1 full credit. I was wondering, how deficient are some of the students who are participating? And is that 1 credit enough? Or I know there's all these competing online. We've seen it and heard about it. And some students are taking advantage of it that are not even credit deficient. But is this helping, I guess?
Yeah, good question. So I would say it's a spectrum. As far, it doesn't, students don't have a particular profile that participate in the credit recovery program, and it's always looked like that. We have had, in recent years, students that were really, really close to graduating, but guess what? We had credit recovery, and they were able to use the credit recovery opportunity and then graduate and then move on with their life. So it's been a wealth of an opportunity for those kids that need it. I would say specifically it's those core classes that, biology or sciences, English, that kids are really looking to replace that credit. And so those kids are really getting that benefit and moving forward. I would say that I can't recall a recent time where a kid had like more than 5 credits that they need to get ahead to achieve their grade level prosperity, participating in a program like this. I don't know that it wouldn't meet their need, right? Because what they need is more intensive than this 1.0 potential. And the other dynamic to that minimum or that maximum, that's set by the state. So it's no way around that. But we've had tons of students that actually have used it to graduate from high school.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Wilson and the FGC team, you guys ready? And Dr. Crabtree?
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On behalf of our Board of Education, our Superintendent, Dr. Whipke, and his cabinet, we are so excited to present on behalf of the 5th Grade Center. And as the proud yet humbled principal of the 5th Grade Center, I am excited to present in partnership with my assistant principal, Mr. Rutherford. You know how I feel about having an assistant principal, so thank you again. And my instructional coach, Mrs. Leah Crawford, who will also participate in this presentation. I'd be remiss if I did not start this presentation without recognizing our outstanding staff. We are a team. They are one of the many reasons why I'm so excited to come to work each day. Team to us stands for Together Everyone Achieves More. And many of us believe that it takes a village to raise a family. We believe that it takes a village of outstanding educators to mold our students to be the Ladue graduates that we would all hope for them to be. So for the one 5th Grade Center staff member that we have here today in person, our business secretary, and I'm sure the many FGC staff members who are live streaming, I would like to publicly thank them for their commitment for making the 5th Grade Center one of the most amazing places to lead, teach, and learn. FGC celebrations, we have much news to celebrate within this presentation, starting with the 3rd year in a row being recognized as the #1 elementary school in Missouri. So we're so excited to celebrate that. And in celebrating that #1 rating, I have to give a shout out to our 4 distinguished elementary schools. All of our schools in the Ladue School District have been top rated for many years. So when you take 4 distinguished elementary schools and combine them into one grade level, of course we're going to be top rated. We have Conway, we have Spady, we have O'Bonham, and Reed. So we thank all of our 4 elementary schools for bringing us amazing 5th graders every single year. We also want to celebrate our cultures in our buildings through monthly celebration circles as it interconnects perfectly with our district's No Place for Hate. And we'll get a chance to share that program with you throughout this presentation. We're also so excited. This is the first year that we've had an opportunity to partner with our Creve Coeur Police Department to present the DARE program to our 5th graders this year. So thank you to Mr. Tim Rebele for helping to make that happen, and we'll give you some information about our DARE program. And when we have our DARE graduation in May, we will make sure that we invite you to attend. Today, we're going to focus on 4 school improvement goals. They're all connected through safety, curriculum and instruction, social emotional learning, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. In July, well, June and July, Mr. Rutherford and I got a chance to kind of work on a rough draft on our school improvement plan. We looked at what we had in place previously, and then we kind of looked at panorama surveys and conversations with teachers to decide what we were going to focus on this year. From taking that rough draft and making some changes from last year, we then presented this school improvement plan to our leadership team in August when they returned from the summer break. We got a lot of great feedback from our teachers on what modifications we need to make in our school improvement plan, and that school improvement plan is communicated throughout the school year. And from looking at our panorama data, we're already having some ideas on what we can make modifications to and add to our school improvement plan for next year. The first goal is safety. Safety is and will always be our first priority at the FGC. As you will see, of course, we have to include our DARE program, which not only talks about students saying no to drugs and alcohol, but it also talks about peer pressure. We've also been lucky to hear about appropriate ways to use technology in our DARE lessons. And our police officers have been very visible this year, and they've been very supportive. And they've also attended many of our safety team meetings, which we have them monthly. Mr. Tim Rebele also attends those meetings with us. And we have also taken a visit to our reunification point this year, where we got a chance to meet with our Creve Coeur police officers and Mr. Tim Rebele. We've been having a lot of meetings, allowing them to take walkthroughs around the building, and they've given us some great feedback on what we can add to the safety of our building. We also meet monthly with our BRAT team. We've had a lot of training and mentorship this year with our behavior response assessment team, and all of the staff members who are a part of our FAST team, which stands for Find and Support Team. We always carry walkie-talkies around the building, so if there is a student who we can't find, if there is any kind of emergency in the building, we are quick to get on the walkie-talkies and reach out to the FAST team. And we have been told that we move pretty fast and we have outcomes pretty fast. And speaking of that, the strategic badges have been very successful in our building. If it is used, in which I'm happy to say we don't have to use it much, but when that strategic badge needs to be used, that FAST team shows up pretty quickly. So again, safety is our top priority, and to make sure that the strategic badges work during our staff meetings, that's a great time to take advantage of everyone using their badges to ensure that everyone can utilize them effectively, along with knowing when the appropriate time is to use those. And then our DARE programs, again, are delivered to every student in the building, and community partnership has been very successful. We also have clear plans and expectations for staff covering assignments. Between myself, Mr. Rutherford, and the office staff, when we open our eyes in the morning, I think the first thing we do is check Frontline to see what staff members will not be in the building. We also have been very fortunate to have staff members who are open communicators, so if something happens at the last minute, they're reaching out to me, Mr. Rutherford, or our office staff. So when we enter those doors in the morning, we know exactly where our staff members are going to be and who should be covered. That ensures that when students walk into their classrooms, there will be a certified staff member there to cover them. We also have an updated operating procedure plan that we share with our staff members. One of the many things that I love about Coach Rob Garrett, he is our coordinator of safety. He watches the weather, He is looking at the news, and he is keeping the staff updated on the what ifs and the just in case. And because of that, we know when we are going to be implementing emergency systems, and we're lowering the anxiety of our students, because due to him having these conversations with the staff members have talking points that they can have with students. And just in case we have a tornado of some kind or any other emergency plan that needs to be implemented, we do not have to worry about students who may be fearful of those emergencies. And it helps to have those monthly drills. So if, of course we don't want it to happen, but if we were to have an emergency, everyone will feel prepared. Speaking of feeling prepared, we have magnets in our doors, so our doors remain locked. But if we have an emergency, the teacher just takes the magnet out of the door, closes, and it's automatically locked. So looking at our student panorama survey, it shows a 9% increase from last year in students responding favorably to feeling safe at school. So that's definitely something to celebrate. But of course, we always are looking for areas to grow. And although the safety team has had a chance to go to the reunification point, during one of our staff meetings at the beginning of the school year, we took our staff members to a safety point that is outside of the building, but they have not yet gone to the reunification point. So we want to make sure that everyone is aware and comfortable not only with where our reunification point is, but going into that building so that we can see where we would actually take our students. The more comfortable our staff feel, the more comfortable the students will feel if we ever had to go to our reunification point. And lastly, our family panorama survey showed 79% of families responding favorably in their perception of student safety at school. So we want to make sure that we're providing school safety updates as a part of weekly newsletters. A lot of times as a principal, I'm updating families on what's taking place at school, but I want to make sure that they are aware of safety procedures that are put in place as well. Also, we want to make sure that we're including the students in the voice, because sometimes when we talk to students about safety, they really don't know the true definition of safety. So if you ask a student, do you feel safe at school? They may say, no, I don't feel safe at school, and it's because someone was swinging too high on a swing, right? So we want to make sure that when students are completing the panorama surveys and they're sharing if they feel safe or not, they actually know what it means to be safe and what it means to not. And when you don't feel safe, these are some implementations that we need to put in place. Now I will turn it over to Mr. Rutherford, who is going to share Go-To, curriculum and instruction.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us here. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about our goal 2, which is to increase collective efficacy in our building while also maintaining high expectations for all students. First, I wanted to share some areas where I feel like that we have made some really strong progress this year. So one of those things being the implementation of a dedicated grow time. As you heard from the other elementary schools, I'm sure, this is a big undertaking, and this is year 1 for us. So we were really focused on having an intentional and slow rollout to make sure that we implemented this in a way that was sustainable, in a way that had buy-in from staff, and it has been a great success for our building this year, and more importantly, a really big success for our students. So that provides differentiated instruction for all of our students, specifically targeted Tier 2 interventions, along with progress monitoring for those students. And then we also, for this is our year 1 of using the iReady diagnostics and growth monitoring. So we use the iReady diagnostics and that data as a piece to help create those targeted intervention groups, and then to also monitor academic growth. 72% of our students with a reading success plan are on track to meet their yearly growth target. Now, of course, when I see that, I see the 28% that we still need to work to move the needle on. But this is a subgroup that historically has struggled and not met their growth targets for their academic year. So we do want to celebrate that 72%, showing that those targeted interventions are making a difference. Another thing is we have completed learning walkthroughs, the 3 of us together. I think as we are looking at what we want our instructional leadership for the building to look like in the years to come, it is important for us to have similar look-fors and language that we want to use, and just generally be on the same page. So that has been really powerful in helping teach me just what we want that instructional leadership to look like and the things that we want to push. Additionally, we have universal structures that we have put in place for our PLC-related meetings. So over the summer, 4 of us actually attended a PLC at Work conference just to do some learning around the subject, and then brought it back and implemented it within our school. So we have regular data reviews, agenda templates that are universal throughout our different contents, and then we do regular assessment audits, especially within our math department, just to make sure it is assessing what we want to assess and that we are assessing what we are teaching. And then finally for this, we have started our after-school tutoring program after spring break. So this is open to any students that teachers can refer, which I think is huge because it's just another avenue where it provides an opportunity for all students to get services and extra support that they might need. Moving on, I know that this is a chart that you have seen, but this is the chart for our students at the 5th grade center. And so this is our reading iReady growth for the winter. So it shows that our grade level and above category raised 12%, specifically going from 123 students to 180. Our category of students that were 1 grade level below dropped down 6%, and then 2 or more grade levels below that category decreased by 6%. Specifically, 2 grade levels below, that category went from 39 students to 21 students. This is our reading quadrant growth and achievement chart, and I like this because it holds 2 things accountable. It holds on the x-axis, it holds your performance, right? And then on the y-axis, it holds your growth. So to fall into the high performance and high growth quadrant, you have to meet both of those standards. So we are very fortunate that as a school lens, we do fall into, for our reading growth, the high performance and high growth category. One too far. All right. And then switching over to math. So this shows the same type of data, but for our math growth. So for winter, our grade level students went up 15%, specifically from 110 students up to 173 students. Our 1 grade level below students dropped 13%, and then our category of 2 or more grade levels below went down 1%. And then similar, so this is the same chart that shows performance related to the median typical growth. So again, we are very excited that we fell in the high performance and high growth. That is the school-wide lens, of course, meaning not every student falls into that category, but it kind of gives you a bird's eye view of our program as a whole. I think you can notice our performance is pretty equal with our reading, but our median growth is a little bit lower than our reading though. And I think that's just a testament to the strong Tier 2 reading interventions that we have in place. And I think this provides really good data to hold us accountable to do those same things with math as we go forward into next year as well. Of course, we do have areas for growth, so these are some things to touch base on. Again, showing that high growth, high performance quadrant is a bird's eye view, but we have a group of students that fall into that low growth and low performance groups. And I put this on here not necessarily because I think that we do something unique from other schools, but solely just because I think that those students deserve to hold equal space as we have these conversations. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight for our school and kind of how we go through that process. The first 2 are a little more philosophical, so seeing each student as an individual. If there was a universal tool that worked for Tier 3, we would do that and the need would disappear, right? Second, in our school community, you have to have a core belief that each student can and deserves the opportunity to grow. After those conversations, we use our school staff to identify the specific needs and any barriers that each student might have based on student data. So this could be our iReady assessments. It could be our registrar's attendance reports. It could be nurse visits. It could be anything, classroom data from the teacher. And then we use that information to make decisions, right? So students then can receive instruction to either backfill the essential skills that they missed in grades past, or in order to access grade level material, or they can receive extra support in grade level material that they're struggling to master yet. And then another piece of this that is super important is a strong relationship with the student and the family. If the student trusts us and the family trusts us, then that's where the greatest growth can occur. And our reading and math specialists do a phenomenal job of making connections with the families of the students that they see. And I want to give them a shout out. That's really great. And then finally, of course, academic progress is monitored and regularly to make future decisions. One last slide for this. So areas of growth looking forward. So we did a bit of a scheduling restructure for this year. Some great conversations and dialogue with Dr. Whipke, Dr. Helm, and Dr. Crabtree. So we are going to have an increase of weekly core instructional minutes by around 100-ish minutes next year, which is awesome. We have an increase of in physical education minutes, and then, of course, the addition of STEAM curriculum carried out by our phenomenal science department. Another piece of this is just that we want to continue to grow in is creating a strong identity as a school for all students. So I love that a lot of conversations that we've had this year have focused on student growth as well as performance, but I think when we have conversations about student growth, it brings all students' experiences and back to the table in equal weight, and I think that's been really helpful. I also think it's important to look at, to begin to look at academic and SEB data through diverse lenses and subgroups. I think that this year has been like infrastructure for our building, and I think that we have a lot of really good things in place, and I think that the natural next step for us is to then look at it through different lenses, right? So it could be looking at SABR's data specifically for our new to Ladue students and seeing what types of supports we can offer for those students. I think that's a natural next step for us. I think that, looking at iReady for students with different backgrounds to see if there's unintentional barriers that we have in place for that, I think is again, something that we're going to talk about for our school goals for next year. We're also going to pilot collaborative classroom resource for our reading department. So this is currently implemented K through 4. We have went over and seen a couple of our phenomenal 4th grade teachers teaching this, and we want to try it out at our school, look at what the data says, and help us make decisions moving forward for our ELA curriculum. And then finally, we have the addition of collegial walkthroughs. We are hoping to have the first round of this kind of trialed by the end of this school year. So the idea of this is just, again, building that collective efficacy, providing teachers an opportunity and a chance to spend time in another teacher's space, and just really building the dialogue of instructional practices and the great things that are already going on within our school community. And I'll pass over to Ms. Crawford.
Thank you for having us. And I'm here to talk to you about our Grow Time, give you a little more background information on how we were able to implement it and the results of it. So Grow Time provides targeted instruction and support tailored to a student's needs so that we can ensure academic growth and skill development. So this structured time improves students' outcomes, it increases engagement, and it strengthens that teacher-student relationship. Students participate in various groups, including Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for reading and math. They also have iReady MyPath, which is personalized instruction that they do through the iReady assessment. Idea Lab still happens during this time because Idea Lab is what students need in order to continue to grow, as well as executive functioning group. We have our counselor, Stacy Hood, is running that executive functioning. That's another thing we're learning about as a building through actually our math specialists and our reading specialists. And then there's some other enrichment activities that some of the teen teachers do outside of math and reading. The key driver to our success with Grow Time is our PLC. Teachers collaborate to plan and implement Grow Time. We analyze student data. I pull student reports from iReady, as well as other data points that we have for students. Teachers bring student work, and we make informed instructional decisions to ensure that every student does receive what they need. So the impact on Grow Time on student achievement at the 5th grade center has been very significant. Before implementing Grow Time, our student growth percentages were lower than we desired, 49% in reading and 36% in math. This is actually the growth of students we currently have this year when they were in 4th grade. We decided to look at that group to see what happens when they come to us. And with Grow Time, our reading has increased growth of 104%. So that you can kind of get an idea about what that means, when we look at achievement as our district, we're looking at 65%, which is considered ACT, SAT, college, and career ready. When we're looking at growth, we're looking at students making 50% growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. These scores are just from fall to winter. And our math growth, as Mr. Rutherford talked about, is not where it is for reading. It's much higher than it was last year for the students. It's at 71%. I actually told the math team at PLC a couple of weeks ago, I was like, okay, I'm so excited about reading's growth. Next year, we want to target math in the same way that we targeted reading, with really looking at resources, implementing different resources for the teachers the same way we did for reading.
Layla, in regards to math, and Lee, I appreciate everything you're saying, but that's been a pattern in the district, right? And so this is just not an FGC thing, but to your point, one intervention that through listening to all of the schools that have presented has been the reading success plans. And I think that that's been a big part of the success. Yeah. But later, through conversations that you and I have, it is also probably a curriculum issue that we're going to continue to dive deeper into. So it's not just FGC, just by the way, but I appreciate your transparency and openness. And I love the fact that you guys are like, hey, we're going to fix it just like we're doing with reading. But I think you're going to get some district support on that as well.
Oh, appreciate that. I know next year is the re-up for a K-5 math curriculum. Yeah, so we're going to try to jump on it. So I'm also going to present to you our goal number 3, which is SEB, social emotional behavior. And we want to ensure that all students are receiving adequate social emotional resources. One of our key continuous improvement plan goals of this is to ensure that they not just thrive social emotionally, but Dr. Wilson always talks about children have to Maslow before they can bloom. And so this part becomes an important piece to also the academic part. Just so you can see some of our panorama survey, and if, again, we're looking at that 50%, we want to be able to, that 65%, we say the kids need to achieve 65%, we need to be looking at our numbers and trying to get them up 65, 70, 80, 90, 100% is where we really want to see. So some of our strategies to support students' well-being, we've implemented several things. I want to be able to highlight 2 of them. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You're very literate, so I'm not going to do that to you. But I do want to talk about Jag, our therapy dog. And don't tell the kids, but it's our little pet when they leave, because they're not allowed to touch them, but we do. But Jag is owned by Maggie Travers, our district's educational support counselor. And Jag provides comfort and emotional support to the students and the staff, I would agree, to help reduce stress as well as to further foster security for our students. The other part that I want to highlight is our student leadership groups. When we sat down to go over the slide presentation, I was like, wow, we really do have a lot of opportunities to have student voice and agency in our building. So through groups like you see Character Crew, our morning broadcasters, our tech crew, which Emily Seaball works with during lunch, Dragon Deets, and Green Team. Green Team is actually sponsored by our Idea Lab teacher, Mary Decker. This is not only building student leadership that they will carry on to the middle school and to the high school, but again, it's that other piece of having a sense of belonging and building relationships with teachers and with other classmates, other schoolmates who are not on your team and in your classes all the time. So some areas of growth that we have set up, we have made great strides this year that we're very proud of, but we also want to be sure that we're able to do some other things. Our sensory room is going to be renovated. We have calming corners in the principal's office and the counselor's office. There's teachers that have them, but we want to be able to update some of those tools. We also are looking at how do we start checking in with our new to Ladue students, especially those students who come to us after the start of the school year. And that's also as the chair of district diversity, it is something that Dr. Whipke has come to Dr. Rizmi and myself about in order to figure out how district diversity can also maybe play a role into connecting families and students. And then the other part is connecting our parent association to new to Ladue families so that we can increase that homeschool partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah and Levi. Now you can see why I'm so excited to partner with two distinguished instructional coach and assistant principal. So thank you again. Wonderful job. And lastly, but not least, we're going to segue into goal number 4, which is enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion by creating an environment where all staff, students, and stakeholders are valued and supported. So as we look at our family and staff panorama, some we celebrated and others, it humbled us pretty much when we look, no one likes a decrease in anything, but we were so happy to celebrate an increase in school fit. How do families feel about belonging? Because they're only with us for 1 year. So it is urgent for us to take advantage of every opportunity that we can to allow our parents to come in and not only connect with staff, but also connect with each other because they're going to be together in middle school and high school. 49%, we had a 5% growth in how families feel about how we educate all students. And then as we segue to staff, in looking at belonging in school climate increased by 18%, amazing. Of course, we became pretty reflective with our decrease in belonging. And for the 6 years that I've been a principal at the 5th grade center, this is the first year that we've had 12 new staff members. And so we have a wonderful district mentoring program. But just like our students who are new to Ladue, in the beginning of the school year, we have all of these tools and implementations and programs and celebrations, and then the school year happens. So what are we doing to make sure that we're not only continuing to check in with our students, but also what are we doing to check in with our new to Ladue staff members? I think of any organization, when you join an organization and everyone has been there for quite some time, you kind of just assume that everyone has a good flow. And many times staff members are students. They will not come to you to tell their feelings about how they belong or how they're connected. So it's very important to make sure that we're checking in with our staff and students. Also, speaking of, we also want to make sure that we're giving all staff and families an opportunity to even complete the surveys. For our parent-teacher conferences, we had QR codes on the tables, but I know as a parent of Spady Elementary School, they also have the iPads. So that maybe, sometimes we just assume everyone knows how to use a QR code, but it would be helpful to have iPads available. Do we need to partner with parents to say, do you need assistance? And that will also increase our number of participants with surveys. And then for staff, we need to ensure that we're providing them with the opportunity, maybe through a staff meeting or a professional development workshop, to ensure that 100% of our staff members are actually completing the survey with fidelity. So that is a part of a few of our action steps. In addition to that, social media updates. We have a Facebook page that we're excited about this year, and we're looking forward to updating that page. No one tells your story better than you. And so we're no different than many other schools who we do great things because we're passionate about it and we're not looking for recognition. But our parents want to know what's taking place in our schools. The board wants to know what we're doing in our schools. The community wants to know. So we're going to be more intentional about making sure that we're sharing our story. So when conversations are being had, you can have social media as another talking point to say, well, you know what? This is something that the FGC did last Thursday because it's on social media. So we're going to be very intentional about that. Also, we're going to give parents more volunteering opportunities. I think about COVID. I know I shouldn't have said the word COVID. We all want to move forward from that. But I think about all of the times that I met with parents outside of the building, and there's some classrooms that are connected to windows, and they see their students or their children, and their children are kind of waving through the windows like, I wish you could come in. But you can't because we're in COVID season. Well, we're out of COVID season. And although we have multiple volunteering parent opportunities, we're finding that parents really want to get into the building to not only volunteer, not only see their children, but they also want to have an opportunity to see what's going on in the buildings. Many parents have opportunities to volunteer in elementary schools. We want to make sure that we also give them that opportunity at the 5th grade center. So DEI building strategies. We want to continue to implement our monthly cultural celebration circles. We are very proud about our circles. If you are a staff member at the 5th grade center, you have a cultural celebration circle of at least 10 students. And we were very strategic about making sure that we diversified all of our circles. We had a lot of great conversations that come out of the circles, especially since we've interconnected the No Place for Hate program. We found that many of the lessons that come with the No Place for Hate program are perfect for us to also implement those cultural celebration circles. So we've talked about being an ally. What does it mean to be an ally for other students? We talked about words having power and love wins over hate. And we've also talked about hardships. You know, it's amazing to have the African American student share a hardship or something that their parent has experienced. And then the Asian student shares their hardship, like, I can connect with that. The Indian student shares their hardship. The Jewish student shares their hardship. They automatically become allies. And many times in schools, we don't give students spaces to have these conversations. And I believe that if we start in 5th grade, they're going to become adults, and it's going to be easy to have these conversations because they started young. And it is amazing what we can learn from children. If we want to make a change, we need to sit in some of these circles and listen to our students talk. We can learn a lot from them. We also want to make sure that we are continuing our enrichment program for underrepresented students with Ms. Decker. And so, of course, again, we're looking for areas of growth under all of our goals in our school improvement plan, along with continuing the implementation of our cultural celebration circles. We want to provide families with talking points. So now that parents are starting to learn more about the cultural celebration circles, they're like, Dr. Wilson, okay, so my child came to tell me about what they talked about. In 5th graders, some are really good at giving details and some may need a little help. So if we provide families with talking points from the No Place for Hate program and the cultural celebration circles, we're confident that these conversations that we're having that are pretty candid at the 5th grade center, they're going to continue at the dinner table. And hopefully we'll be able to see that improvement in the community with those DEI conversations. Speaking of DEI conversations, we want to make sure that we're checking in with our students and families through in-person and survey formats. A lot of times, especially the 5th grade center, I think sometimes we take for granted that we're this happy place. And so sometimes when you're on the outside looking in, you don't feel like you really have to check in because everything looks great. And then you get this panorama data and you're thinking, wait a minute, there's a decrease here, there's an increase. And so of course it encourages you to be reflective, but it also encourages you to have conversation about the whys. And so I think about a supervisor or a manager of a 5-star restaurant because I like to eat a lot. And if you visit a 5-star restaurant, you had to Google or look on Yelp to see that it's 5-star. But when you go there, the manager is going to each table and they're saying, how are you doing? How's the food? How's your service? Is there anything that you need? And so they're asking those questions not because the data is low. They're asking the questions because they are a 5-star and they want to remain a 5-star. So the 5th grade center, we're going to be more intentional about checking in. How are you doing? How can we support you? And that's not only to the students, that's to the staff and also to the families. And lastly but not least, we want to give a special thanks to our Board of Education for all of your support. We truly appreciate all that you do. And at this time, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'll ask a couple if I don't want to jump ahead.
No, I've left you.
I have I wrote down a couple very quick ones. Who's tutoring after school? Is that your classroom
Our
teachers?
classroom teachers and specialists.
Okay. And you're paying them out of your budget? That's great. I just didn't,
Yes.
I guess I should read a newsletter, but that's awesome. I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We had selected students, so as we're looking at students who we want to move for readiness, for ACT readiness, MAP testing readiness, we have a group of students who we just need to push a little further. And that tutoring program gives them an opportunity to have one-on-one implementation and interventions with a classroom teacher. Some of the groups are co-taught as well. So we have a really small teacher-student ratio.
That's great.
Which has been very helpful. It's 2 days a week.
That's new this year.
It's new this
Okay,
year.
that's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. And that you had teachers willing and,
7.
wow, that's really, yeah, really awesome. You know, one of my questions, Ms. Crawford, you answered before, I wrote it down before your presentation, you answered it, and it was kind of a leap off of the growth time, but, and where I was going, so I want to say you answered this, was that it's hard to imagine, and we were just joking last night, because Jordan got to go in the mornings when he was a 4th grader, so we've been in the building 3 out of the last 4 years. It's really, really fast. It's really fast. And I think parents, unless you're in that, or teachers or administrators don't realize how fast it is. And so when you talked about how, because my question that I think I maybe touched on it last year was that as your job as an instructional coach and as administrators, at this age is so important, because if you blink, you miss them. And it ends up being like 2 years before somebody's actually really truly following this kid. And so it seems like that you're going to so now you're following 4th grade students who you've never met in 4 buildings. You're going backwards to these 4 buildings that you're not on the ground floor of. And it's so fast. And then, so, you know, even when they're going to the middle school, then those coaches or those teachers have the 3 years to kind of build this growth. And so if you miss it, it puts them back. I mean, and so we're unique that we offer this in our community, because I think we were talking about this today. Some 5th and 6th pop up, but I don't know of anyone in the country that's doing a 5th grade. And I've been asking that for a lot of years. I don't think anyone else in the country is doing a 5th grade center. And so if you blink, you miss it, and the ramifications of missing it is so big. And you guys don't miss it. And so my question was, how do you not miss it? And I think when you're engaged with them as 4th graders, because you have to be, and that's not even your building. I mean, those aren't even your principals. I mean, that's a really big job. And I just want to say that if it's not highlighted enough, that thank you for not missing it, because we would have created a big problem for our kids if we didn't have the right people at the 5th grade center to handle this transition. Because it can, you know, then you'd just be inheriting a complete disaster. So, thank you for that. So you answered my question, was going to be, how do you not miss it? And I think it's because of what you do with them as 4th graders. And they're not even your kids, and they're not going to be your kids again. So it's amazing. And my handwriting's bad. I think that was only 2. Oh, I have Mr. Rutherford. 100 instructional minutes. Where are we finding them?
I was waiting.
Yeah, you knew I was going to be the one to ask too.
Carefully. One big thing is our homeroom time in the morning is right now it's like 25. It's really robust, so we are shrinking down a little bit. The other spaces include the time that the dismissal time we have at 15 minutes. We're going down to, I think, 11. So times that by 5, that's like 40 minutes, 50 minutes right there.
Okay.
And then the other pieces are, Fridays so that's a great part. So Fridays we are actually having protected periods 1, 2, and 3, where across the whole school they'll be doing content minutes, which will be new for next year. And then social studies is being spread out. The amount of social studies minutes is staying the same, but it's going to be spread out across the week for the teams. So that Friday is adding
ELA and
math and
okay.
STEAM will be part of that.
Okay.
And then it'll be a protected grow time as well. So Friday's the really big one. Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks for asking.
Okay, those are my 3.
Okay, I've got a couple. Dr. Wilson, only since you brought it up, favorite restaurant now?
Capitol Grill.
Oh, okay, that's a good choice.
Do you not follow her on Facebook? That's her favorite.
I didn't, I mean, I had to add. I didn't want to assume. It was what? Oh, okay.
Like barbecue, salt and smoke?
Oh, that's all right. Just a genre. Okay, so a couple of the things I just wanted to point out. First of all, I agree with everything that Jennifer says. Obviously, my children are a little younger, so I haven't been through it firsthand. But I think for so many of our kids, it really is amazing that it's this like 1-year melting pot, and it has to go right, and it does go right. And I think for a lot of kids, it really is, you sort of have 2 sides of your Ladue student career. It really is your elementary school experience, which is very, very sort of close up and small, and kind of rightfully so for the ages that they're at. And then you do get this sort of wonderful transition year just with those kids who you're then going to be with, many of whom, when you walk across the stage at the end of high school. And you met them for the very first time on the very first day at the 5th grade center. Which is a really magical thing that they're making these connections that first day that will then last them through their career in the district. And so something else, I just want to say congratulations on the growth on the panorama side for the staff and the family sides. Parent volunteering, I couldn't agree more. I think it's so wonderful that you're intentionally trying to grow that within the building. And on that note, where you mentioned in-person check-ins in terms of sort of DEI wellness, I understand how you could do that with students in the middle of the day, but how do those in-person check-ins take place with families, given, you know, where you guys fall in terms of start time and end time during the day, and where you have those touch points for those sorts of conversations with families?
We're very fortunate in the Ladue School District to have families who actually want to come in and have those conversations. And reflecting on my position, I spent a lot of time interacting with my parent association. They all have my cell phone number, right? I also spent a lot of time interacting with my parent volunteers. But what do we do for the parents who are not on the parent association board, or the parents who do not get a chance to come in and volunteer because maybe they're simply working or they're unavailable? Surveys are nice, but I love to have conversations. So I know of many schools in Missouri that have coffee time with the principal, like just informal time to sit down and talk with parents and answer questions. The great thing about that is when parents have concerns that you find out about on the survey, it doesn't even make it to the survey because you've had those conversations. And so that is something that we will be very cognizant. I think coming from being an elementary principal to now being a 5th grade principal, like, you know, donuts with dad, muffins with mom, lots of before school activities, we don't have that luxury because we start so early in the morning. So we're gonna have to be a lot more creative in finding school time, but also being cognizant of those families who can't come during the day. So what are we going to do in the evening that's more informal, allowing parents to be able to come in and simply have conversation? The power of having those conversations, they're not only interacting with the principal and staff members, they're also interacting with each other, getting to know other parents that they're gonna be with for quite some time.
No, I think that's wonderful. And since you mentioned the start time, I look forward to 16 months from now, you guys making me a morning person. So, but no, just congratulations.
Thank you. The
Yeah,
parent-
congratulations.
Well, the students did vote for a Starbucks at the 5th grade center, but I do not have the power.
Really? I don't think we have a licensing agreement. Oh, maybe we'll have to see what Chartwells can put together for us. Yes. Or, well, we were only a drive-through model. We may have to slide over LECC, see if we can drop one in. Yeah, but no, thank you so much. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for the presentation. How much time do you think in the year you're spending figuring out what learning needs students have?
So it's a team approach to it. It really starts with Maggie Eisenbeis, our reading specialist, and with Kara Moore, I was going to call her Jackson, with Kara Moore, our math specialist, who once the data comes in from our assessment, which is iReady this year, they look at it and they go through with, I think they do it with Melissa Anderson, and they start pulling out the kids who they will see first for Tier 3. I go in and I get the reports and share them with the teachers so we can all come together and make decisions in PLC. So our PLC time is on Fridays for a whole class period. Sometimes this year with this implementation of Grow Time, it has been 2 periods. So about 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours a week, we are in PLCs, and in those PLC meetings, we are looking at data, looking at student work, looking at the resources and interventions that we use in order to make instructional decisions.
When is that first iReady assessment?
The first iReady assessment happened, this year we actually tested early. We tested at the end of August. The goal was to be able to test within the first 2 weeks of the school year so that we can start Tier 2, Tier 3, as well as enrichment right away, because usually we weren't getting in until September, so mid-September.
And so with the exception of several students moving into 5th grade center, we have 5 years of data, K-4, prior to them moving in. And what does that data look like prior to that first assessment in terms of no lost time on continuing the interventions that have occurred K-4?
So I've been so lucky to sit in with our counselor. So we meet with all 4 of the elementary schools, and we have a 45 to 50-minute meeting with every single 4th grade teacher where they shared notes about every single student. And then the counselor, Stacey Hood, and I track that, and that's part of our conversations whenever we're doing student placements. That's part of our conversation whenever we're talking with our specialists and the needs that they have for next year. So the 5th graders that we will have in August, I already have a really good sense of the learning needs that they currently have. But then, of course, kind of as Leah was stating, that's ongoing. That's what we do the whole year, because they might not be struggling with content that we have in first quarter or second quarter. By the time they're multiplying fractions, maybe that's where the gap shows itself, right? So we're always reflecting and looking at it, but again, just coming into it as we're not losing that K-4, having those meetings with the 4th grade teachers one-on-two, right? And then using that data to make decisions before they even step foot in our building.
Our K-5 reading and math specialists meet together, and so our reading specialists at the K-4 buildings put together data for our 4th graders. They meet with our 5th grade math and reading specialists so that they already have their caseloads coming in fall so that they're able to get started with those students right away.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. I thought Keisha had a question too. No, you're okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Great
you
job.
so much.
Thank
We always
you.
say the
Thank
FGC
you.
is the
Thank you.
happiest place on earth, right?
Go Dragons.
Go Dragons. Thank you all so much. Dr. Tom, I mean, you're ready.
We're ready.
Love it.
All right.
Leah Crawford is not one of our instructional coaches, but hi. Welcome. Yeah. Sorry about that. Just want to start by saying thank you and congratulations to our two newest board members. I want to really make sure that I'm thanking Dr. Whipke and our cabinet for their incredible support. Obviously, you've gotten to see plenty of me this year in talking through our redesign. So we've had a lot of conversations already of the environmental work that we're doing at Ladue Middle School. But there have been just so many yeses in this process with our redesign that have us really feeling excited about our upcoming school year. I want to introduce my teammates here. Dr. Solomon Knight is one of our assistant principals, and Angela Kelly is our instructional coach. Scott Lackey is currently representing the state of Missouri as the assistant principal of the year in DC. Yes, that's very exciting. And Sarah Schwartz is celebrating her mother's birthday. I do want to make sure I have it on here. We celebrate big in our building. It is Assistant Principals Week as well, so I want to thank Dr. Knight, our assistant principals, Mr. Rutherford. It is hard work as an assistant principal. One of our teachers wrote an email to them last night saying, I couldn't do my job without you. And I absolutely agree with that, so thank you. All right. Obviously, we appreciate all of your presence. We appreciate your unwavering belief in our amazing students and school community. I'm absolutely honored to be here with my teammates, and we're really excited to share some of our highlights with you. Maybe not as many highlights, that certainly ones that are connected to our school improvement plan and some of our critical goals that we have that we're kind of eyeing for next year as well. I do know that I have the very distinct privilege of sharing our work tonight, but it is just that, it is our work. We've got a really tremendous team here. I want to start by just saying I was taught a long time ago that the maintenance and facilities department is our most important foundation work. That team right there is just tremendous in making sure that there is a lot of pride in our building. So I also want to thank Mike Noonan for his support of our facilities. Again, lots of yeses this year in getting our space ready to go to match our redesign. We have a lot of fun together. This team does. We really work on setting that environment of excellence. We have teammates who are up for laughter and up for hard work, both with big smiles at the same time. Let me see where I'm at already. We look forward to a lot of special moments that's in middle school and public education. Some of these moments are complex and are challenging, but it takes special individuals to seek those joyful moments, seek those purposeful moments, and everybody who is at Ladue Middle School, even again in some challenging moments, big smiles on those faces. I do want to highlight a couple of points of pride for us. Obviously, we've talked a lot, like I said, about the redesign. I'll share some more about that in a few minutes. There's a lot of excitement around the redesign, around our new schedule. Obviously, there's some also important angst around the redesign and what's coming, but that helps guide our next steps. We've really worked to increase our student leadership this year, giving more opportunities for our students to use their voice, to serve, and to really kind of see themselves in the building. I want to highlight our student council here. We went from about a dozen students in the past years to now we have a regular 50 kids show up on Thursday afternoons, and they have huge goals of bringing more student leadership to our community. We've really worked to continue to grow the capacity of our students. One of our goals this year is really helping to build out those routines and structures for our students so that we're never just assuming that they know how to do middle school, but that we're really explicit, even if they've been with us in 6th and 7th grade and through 3 quarters, sometimes we have reminders that we have to put in place. So this year we launched a launch week that was asked for by the teachers, that was led by a teacher committee. And so we started our first week of school without devices and really just getting to here's how we do transitions, here's how we move from one space to the next, here are our safety expectations. And I really see a lot of the impact of that work that our staff put in our safety and security data and our panorama data. Obviously, we're able to come back around to that as well. We had the start of 4th quarter. We wanted to hit a little bit more of that because we forgot a little bit of how to use our devices and how to maintain some of those safe expectations. We have our teachers really growing in leadership and capacity as well. It's really important to us that the more staff who have opportunity for voice, the more staff who have kind of building that capacity of what's going on at Ladue Middle School, the better we are. I've personally loved seeing our collaboration spaces continue to get used. It's not every day, it's not every period, but it is often that our teachers are using that space. Sometimes, kind of fighting for that space because we all want to be in it, but it's cross-disciplinary in nature. It is teachers who are pulling small groups to provide targeted interventions, and then some relevant learning that's happening in those spaces that just don't work beyond the 4 walls of a classroom. So thank you for your support of our construction as well. And then I continue to highlight after-school activities. It's some of our most important work. I consider it as an intervention that we have in place as well for students who are trying to engage in our school community. And we have 600 students who are currently doing some type of after-school activity at Ladue Middle School. let's jump to some of our goals. Safety and security, first and foremost. There's a lot that I could talk about the physical safety and the different steps that we have in place at Ladue Middle School. But I want to highlight first who you get to see at every board meeting, Ryan Eaton. Let's give Ryan Eaton a round of applause. We're really fortunate to have the addition of such a present teammate at Ladue Middle School. He is in the halls, at the cafeteria, out at recess, in all the different spaces, and that presence really means a lot to our students and staff. He's such an incredible partner to our admin team as well. When we are calling just to run a task on the walkie, he's like, I got it. And so that just step in, step up mentality for us is really important for our entire building. We are certainly grateful for his connections and his presence. Our team really works hard to establish different connections at Ladue Middle School so that our students, so we can see more indicators for safety, belonging, and engagement at Ladue Middle School. That's the angle that we looked at with our goal this year. That team, I just want to highlight, that is our counselor team. So that is Mrs. Johnson, Coach White, Alexa Michael, who is our special education social emotional behavior specialist, Dr. Sarah Carpenter, and Yvette Sykes. And that team works with the hardest of hard moments at Ladue Middle School and yet have those big smiles on their faces. They care deeply, they are relentless in their pursuit of getting to know what makes a student successful. And they are absolutely pivotal. Their presence, them knowing what's going on with students' peer-to-peer interactions is really important to us in making sure that we have students feel that sense of belonging, feel that sense of safety. One of the highlights that I wanted to pull with our panorama survey data, specific to that sense of belonging, in the past we'd seen concerns with students not feeling like they can get beyond their background group in their peer groups, or being concerned about students being treated unfairly. And so these 4 prompts that you see in front of you had an 84% favorable response in our most recent panorama survey data. So our students saying that they have close friends and they hang out with students from different races and backgrounds, and then suggesting that that students from different races and backgrounds receive fair treatment from both adults at schools and their classmates. Those are really big indicators for us that students are feeling a sense of belonging. Data doesn't always land in the form of charts in panorama survey. That bottom corner there, those are 4 6th graders who wanted a space for dance, a club that we hadn't had before. They wanted a space to get to practice, to get to perform, to get to hone in on their skills. Sarah Crawford is one of our teacher assistants, and she stays after, started once a week and is now twice a week. She came back from a personal day today, sorry, Julie, because the girls wanted to have club today. So she came back for the afternoon to be part of that. That's not something that you're gonna see in percentages, but these 4 young ladies, again, 6th graders, asked to stand in front of the entire Ladue Middle School community during our annual Turkey Day assembly and perform for them. And if that doesn't say, I feel safe, I feel like I belong, I'm engaged and committed and feel comfortable in this community, I don't know what does. So there are tons of stories like that happen daily at Ladue Middle School, but just wanted to highlight that one. One piece also with safety and security that we look to highlight is obviously middle school is a time of conflict. Peer conflict is part of middle school DNA. And so 2 of the pieces that we really have been monitoring in my tenure, 3 years at Ladue Middle School, is looking at bullying and cyberbullying, and looking at insensitive or inappropriate language and gestures. When we see those 2 incidents, it leads to feeling unsafe, that they don't belong or they disengage, right? When the recipients, the victims of those behaviors, that creates that sense of unsafe. And so those are numbers that we've been tracking. And more than just tracking, we're really looking at how do we, if we pour more time into the incident, if we pour more time into the reflection process and the restoration process, and really making sure that our students are learning from the situation. We talk often, we do mistakes at Ladue Middle School. Middle schoolers are gonna make mistakes. They're not gonna think, they're gonna do. Our job is to make sure they don't do it over and over again. And so our kind of question was, if we pour this time and invest in, yes?
Sorry, I just had a really quick question.
Sure.
With the discipline data we're monitoring, total number of incidents, bully, cyberbullying, insensitive, inappropriate language or gestures, how are you gathering that information? Is it only when, and I have a problem with asking questions that are answered in the next slide.
Yep,
so
it's
just
coming,
tell
but
me
I'll
if
get
that's
ya.
happened again. And then, or is it only once it's escalated and then it's found out that that is the root cause of the large, of whatever led to a larger argument?
Sure. So there's peer conflict that we don't necessarily track in our Infinite Campus data. If we're able to resolve it with students, we're in a good spot. It's really when there is the bullying that we would identify as bullying, or if there is, we're pretty quick to know if an incident is inappropriate gesture or an insensitive comment from a student. And that gets labeled in Infinite Campus as such, so we're able to track those through Infinite Campus reports.
Okay, thank you. And it's mostly because, a lot of the presentations we've had are the elementary schools, but you guys get into a different phase
Sure.
in the kids' lives. We don't follow every single social media profile.
Sure.
So that's where, when it comes to cyberbullying, which is a major issue,
Sure.
how you're able to sort of get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Unless it's brought to your attention.
Yeah, we can't solve things we don't know about, right? When we find out that something's brought our way, our kids, they're able to let us know when there's a situation going on. We have our students come to us. We have our assistant principals are in spaces. Our counselors are in spaces connecting with students. You can feel when there's tension in the air at the middle school. If it's a little breezy that day, you can tell what's going on, and our team is pretty quick to respond to that. I would say that there is, that we know about a majority of the things that are going on. Kids will tell on themselves, middle schoolers tell on themselves when there's conflict brewing. And so I would say, do we have some things that go maybe that are happening off campus that brew a little bit in the building? Perhaps, and those aren't incidents necessarily that are tracked, but the teaching points are obviously, those conversations and check-ins with students are tracked.
Okay, thank you.
No,
The other thing I'll add to that with you, Angela, and we made it a mission to increase after-school activities for the kids, and Angela has already said 600 kids after school. There's 600 that are participating. That alone has decreased discipline issues, and a lot of those discipline issues were happening after school and not even on campus, but we were having to deal with them. Kids need and want a place to go after school, and you guys are really providing that. That is a drastic improvement from when, Angela, you first arrived at the middle school as a middle school person.
Of those opportunities.
I love when you called it an intervention, because it is.
Yes. There are some students who you're trying to pull in and trying to get connected to something greater than themselves, and that's an opportunity that we use. Let me show you this data, though. We're excited about this. I was like, APs, come look at this. So our overall number of those two types of incidents, again, has dropped. Now, I say so far, it is April and May, so there's certainly potential for us in April and May. But again, I want to hit back to, I see that number decreasing because of the intention we put into launch week, because of the intention that our assistant principals put into pushing into classrooms each quarter to talk about safety, to talk about how we treat each other. We start every Monday on Zoom. We call it our Monday morning meeting, and we really hit reminders for students. It's kind of that Monday morning huddle that, the every morning huddle that elementary classrooms have, we do on Monday morning to kick off. And I really see that number decreasing for those efforts. What's really exciting to me, though, is what I have connected with the Arrow. Again, our hope has been, if we pour more time in the incident into the teaching of the moment, teaching of the incident, to helping a middle schooler understand the harm they've caused, giving them resources and strategies and coping techniques to avoid that incident a second time, will we see the impact of that? And fun news, we have. So my first year, we had 122 incidents. Again, I'm just talking about insensitive and inappropriate language and gestures, and then cyberbullying. So 122 incidents. Of those 122 incidents, 24 students were owners of 56% of those incidents. Okay? Of the following year, 25 students were owned 63% of those incidents. Those are big numbers, right? Those are students who are not learning from the interventions we're putting in place. Discipline is meant to help change behavior, right? And so that was telling us that we were not getting behavior changed. And so our team spent, actually our counselor admin team spent last summer really spending more time in our refocus lessons, spending more time. Refocus is like in school suspension, but it's really more intentional about understanding the impact, understanding why we make those choices, poor choices sometimes. So that number is really exciting to me, that only 15 of our students are owning only 40% of those incidents. So we're really working to reduce those repeat situations. Does that answer that question for you too a little bit? Looking ahead, we are excited about the work we've done with No Place for Hate. That language is up in every single classroom. We've completed a pledge, obviously, as part of that activity. There's a lot that we do in our Character Strong lessons. There's so much that we do with our IMLMS Day that's coming up in May that really reflect that No Place for Hate work. But we're looking forward to kind of deepening that opportunity for our students. We've heard from the student advisory group, Dr. Whipke's student advisory group, and even in our Panorama survey data, where students are wanting more strategies to uphold a positive school culture. So when they see, I'm gonna call it nonsense happening, that they have what the tools they need to stop it, and not just in like, let me go put it in as a honor code violation, but they know what to say in the moment to support a friend, a classmate, or to address the situation. So we're really looking forward to deepening that, monitoring our communication so that our students really are familiar with how to access sharing that information with us, really making sure that we're continuing to increase those after-school activities. Again, we have students who I think want to be at school but haven't found the space to do it yet. But we are excited about that. We had one student this year who I think will be voting for president someday. Arjun wanted to have a investment club, which is not going really well right now, but he got himself a staff advisor, and he's got like 50 students who are in this club right now and could probably be giving all of us lessons on what to do. But that opportunity for students to say, hey, we want to bring this activity. We have kids who are asking for chess. It's just, there's so many different clubs and activities, and wanting to make sure that we feel like if students are at Ladue Middle School, then that's the best and safest space for them to be. We want to continue to monitor our contact points with our counseling team, making sure that students are accessing them in a variety of ways, and that our actions are responsive to the data of those access points, and then just continuing to reflect on those refocus activities as well. We have incorporated recess this year, which is the most inexpensive intervention in America, and it gives our students a middle of the day play. It is one of, in the fall, when I got to be out there a little bit more, watching our students jump rope. I think I've probably told you this story, but out at recess, probably in October, I saw a young lady sitting who was always sitting by herself, and we got the jump rope out, and she was like, whoop, and she jumps in a group of like 6 or 7 other girls and starts jump roping with them, and that's such a great space for our kids to connect, to run, to get some energy out, but also just to kind of quiet down their day as well. With our redesign, which was goal number 2 for us, obviously we've spent a lot of time with our redesign this year. I'm going to help myself get caught up. We are obviously grateful for your support with our additional staff requests. We know that was huge, and that additional staff is not lost on us. That helps us with our class sizes. That has helped us shift to 4 teams now instead of 3. So our teachers will have greater contact points with their families. Again, just deepening those connections with students, with families, and we really are grateful to the Board of Education for making that happen for us. We've embedded block days into our assessment windows this year to help our staff and our students acclimate and kind of stretch those muscles a little bit with the block schedule, which is different. I think if you ask 10 students, I bet 7 of them will tell you that they like the block days better. They talk about not needing, it feels like it goes faster, they say. They don't have as many classes that they're going to and homework that they're responsible for the next day. And their learning is just different when you have 90 minutes versus 42 minutes. 42 minutes is like you can barely get that notebook out. And in 90 minutes, we're up, we're active, we're moving into different activities. Our teachers have been really intentional about that. Dr. Helm and Dr. Crabtree have really supported pullout days this year to support our staff. We can't just jump into August and say, good luck, here's a new schedule. And so I'm gonna let Angela Kelly talk a little bit about the work that she's done in those pullout days to help our teachers kind of co-author learning for next year.
Hi. I'm going to do that. So we have had a day for each of our departments to have, and grade level, like a group of 4 teachers to meet with me for a full day, where we kind of spend the morning kind of resetting and envisioning. We talk about an exceptional middle school science experience. And as they share those experiences, we're pulling out, well, what does that show we value? You know, what are those essential things that we want for our 7th grade science students to take to 8th grade science and beyond? What do we want them to transfer? So really listing those types of things and then thinking about, well, what does this new schedule allow us to do more of, to, you know, go deeper? How can we repeat those things that we know are so valuable, and how can we design those learning experiences that we know kids need? And the themes that come up are more application of learning, more time to collaborate, more this has come up so many times, going beyond the red pen, when students are able to create things for others to learn from them, when they're able to teach others or put on a Holocaust museum like we've tried to do. We've done very well even with our 44-minute schedule, 42-minute, but being able to do those so much more deeply. And the students are so engaged, they can have more choice. And the rooms just light up when we've had some of them at the 5th grade center, some of them we have in our building, and teachers are just diving right in. So I've been honored to be a part of those planning days with teachers. And then after we kind of spend the morning doing that, we actually have really, I would say every department is ready for first quarter. They've looked at that first couple of units. They've envisioned how they're going to lay it out. They've thought about the structures they're going to put in place. So we're getting ready. And there will be some summer opportunities through C&I that teachers that want to work this summer and do some more further planning and preparation will have that opportunity as well. So we are very grateful to C&I for that support.
Thank you. So with our new schedule, I'm thrilled to hear about Grow Time and the incredible impact that has had on their learners. And I'm excited to come here next year and say, guess what? Flex Time is doing the same. So we're really excited to see that come to life for our staff, for our students, and have that data drive what that learning looks like during that window. With our student learning, I don't know if Dr. Crabtree remembers this text message that she sent to me back in October. I cried. I got this text message, flipped my phone over, and I was just like, this feels good. So that 13% point increase in our APR data was a really exciting text to receive. Obviously, that is a highlight for us. We have all 3 grade levels. Also, this school year, NWEA reading is showing in the high growth, high achievement quadrant for us for all 3, again, grade levels in reading. And Angela attributes that to the work that those ELA PLCs have really poured into explicit vocab instruction. So they've hit one of those 5 key strands of the ELA curriculum really heavily, And so when that area goes up, obviously our scores as a whole have come up. And vocab, direct and explicit vocab is helping all of our readers. Anyway, so our 6th grade has shown the highest growth and achievement in NWA math. It is an area for us to continue to look ahead and stay curious about, and to really dive in and get kind of messy with the data. Our math team met yesterday, and one of the math teachers came up to me and she was like, "You will not believe all the things that we got ready and accomplished for flex time with the math department next year." The math department knows that they have priority of students to really push in on that math data for us next year. We did also see from the spring 23 to spring 24, I'm telling you this now because we haven't talked about that, but that 22% increase in our student groups in ELA was a great number to see in our APR kind of over trending growth as well. And so looking ahead, I've talked a lot about setting the environment, a lot about our physical layout, a lot about our social and emotional learning and giving space for kids to be kids. I went over one too many. Thank you. And so part of that with our new structure, our new schedule is part setting the environment as well. Our block is going to allow for those really deep connections for our students. It's not just about schwapping together 2 shorter periods and saying, okay, that's the block. It's not 2 45-minute periods put together. It is an opportunity to really go deeper into the learning for our students and really for our teachers to then be able to pull some small groups and to provide some reteaching and extension even during that period. And so those supports, that instruction doesn't wait for flex time. Again, with our flex, really making sure that we have high expectations for what that looks like with additional practice, enrichment, and then those specific interventions. And then those smaller teams, we're really eager to see what our teachers are able to do with that capacity of knowing students' strengths and needs even more. And then we've talked a lot about this, really asking the hard questions, being really critical of some of the data that we're looking at, but really making sure that we're owning that data. Continuing to focus on building a culture that has conversations around academic data, obviously strengths, but also excuse-free critical conversations as well, and really asking why. I read the other day you have to ask why 5 times before you get to, now let's get to work. And so really being critical about who isn't growing, and in what spaces we need to make sure that we're really lasering in on. Our ongoing professional development, I'll say this over and over again for the rest of my life. There's a brainstorming part of my brain, and then there's the Angela Kelly part of my brain. And she is I barely get an idea out, and she's like, bam, let's go. And so everything that we've done with redesign to have our staff feeling confident and excited is huge, huge thanks to Angela Kelly. Obviously, we want to resharpen our PLC process as well, because we will have different purpose with those PLCs when we're using those PLCs to then plan for our flex time. There's going to have to be a restructuring of what that time looks like and make sure that we're really intentional with it. And then finally, just kind of looking ahead at goals that we have for next year, continuing to look at our space as a place to belong. I've talked a little bit about no place for hate in smaller teams, giving our kids opportunities to learn from each other. Our 6th graders love chances to be around our 8th graders. Our 8th graders feel very excited and responsible when they're in front of our 6th graders. Same theme, connecting with our families, getting them into the building more. They want to be there, even when their child doesn't want them there. Giving them those opportunities, we'd really love to continue to build. Big thing, continuing to monitor the impact of our new schedule for next year. I think we're going to run into some glitches, and I think we're ready to run into glitches. We have Sarah Schwartz at the brain of kind of, she's in the nitty-gritty details right now, and she does such a great job of looking ahead and preventing kind of big missteps for us. But we're going to run into things that are like, oh, we hadn't thought about that. Let's fix it. And just being patient through that and not frenzied through that, I think is going to be important for us. And then just deepening our connections. I continue to talk about after-school activities and getting more students involved. I have big aspirations for us to have a STEAM event that serves as a resource, but also a showcase for things like Science Olympiad, our incredible robotics teams, our math competition clubs. I just let our families see and hear our students' accomplishments in that way. I would love to be able to bring to our school. And then just to continue to expose our students to college and career connections, for them to be able to see, why am I doing this? Why am I learning this? What can I do with this learning that's in front of me right now? Because the path is not clear for them yet, but it's starting to take shape in middle school. And we want them to see and have, again, that exposure to more than just like, you're gonna be a teacher, a nurse, or a lawyer, which those are the three options that I had growing up in small town Iowa. And so giving them kind of all of those touch points for us is really important, and hope to deepen those learning opportunities for our students with that. That's all I've got for you. We will certainly answer all the questions that you've got.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thompson. I've been fortunate, along with Jennifer, to be part of the redesign committee work, and really just as kind of a silent observer. The magic in that room is really impressive. I know we'd started talking, I know you've been thinking about this for years. You and I started talking about it last summer. What you've been able to do and your team has been able to do in such a short time, getting this off the ground in 1 year is really, I just give you all so much credit. And of course there will be glitches, because even when we think it's the smoothest possible road, you know, there's always stumbles, but that's how we fail forward, right, Dr. Whipke? Just always trying to learn. And we've also been talking a lot at the board level about college and career connections, so I'm really glad to see that as something that you're thinking about too. That journey does start even before middle school of, you know, what is my family ethos about what comes after school? Whether is that college, is that career, is that a sport, is that trades? Do I have a family business? Do I want to go into a 4-year school, a 2-year school? You know, there's so many options, and the fact that you are putting intention behind that, and there's going to be more vertical alignment between the middle school and the high school, I think is really sets us apart from other districts, and also really speaks to your intention with all of the things you've talked about tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Knight, it's always a pleasure to see you present. Even if words aren't spoken, you're not offered an opportunity to speak before us. The love you have for every student in that building, what you give students, showing up as a man of color who loves all children, who makes sure they're present, who is seen. I see you, I appreciate you. That being said, for most of our presentations, we've seen those quadrants, and we've all acknowledged that the quadrants don't identify, again, the majority of students may be in that high growth, high performance place. You're a 6A building. What do the quadrants look like in a nutshell, Dr. Thompson? What do you see? And I'd have questions if I saw that, but I didn't.
Well, you would see that it's good reason to have questions. We have students who are accessing very high levels of learning. Many of our students come to us great and stay great. There's, I would say, probably more in the high achievement right now for us across math in particular than you would see in high growth.
I mean, I can speak to, we just looked at the data for fall to spring for NWEA, and it wasn't in a chart format, but our reading data, NWEA reading, was in the high growth, high achievement. We were 58%, I think, overall grade level wise. So each 6th, 7th, and 8th were all in high growth and high achievement. If I'm remembering correctly, the overall achievement was in the 70s for each grade level for that. In math, we were a little lower in the achievement area, and our growth was just under. For 6th grade, it was like 49th or 48th, so it was just under that. It was our highest. And then our 7th and 8th were in the 40s, but we're not at that, above in that high growth area. So So I can tell you my memory of it, and it's probably pretty accurate, but I might have it off a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. I appreciate it, Doc. So here's my other question. I think, as we just alluded to, the fifth grade center and everything, I mean, in a nutshell, being that high performance, high growth quadrant on the top right, I guess, and we actually alluded to the fact that there's work that has to occur in integrating fourth grade data into fifth grade data to send you the best sixth graders that we can send you, incoming sixth graders. I'd be curious in seeing that chart, if that's what it looks like, if we see kind of everybody in that sixth grader, say in that top right quadrant, walking into the building or where they're finishing, because I think, as you shared, middle school can be such a tumultuous time, social emotionally, academically, et cetera. You know, what does that look like in those 3 years of readiness prior to hitting high school? Because when they leave you in 8th grade, they're going on to the rest of their lives. And for 99% of those kids, it's Ladue Horton Watkins High School. And so I'm just curious about that. And I guess I know there's phenomenal work occurring. I just hope to see that snapshot as we saw for the other buildings, not just because I want to see matching slides, but because I think that's also a story. If kids are coming to you as a whole with that readiness, are they leaving with that readiness, or where do you see discrepancies? Because then you can attack those needs as they appear. So that was really the reason for my query, and not just because I want to see matching slides. So I didn't mean to minimize that piece. I just think that's an important component of the work you have to do with young human beings at an incredibly important, but again, tumultuous and, part of life in terms of the physiology of middle schoolers, along with everything else. So that was my query.
I would just add that in general, if I look at it historically, I mean, at least for the last 5 years, I've been looking at it, and what we often see is, and this is just general, but is that sixth grade, it's higher. Seventh grade, we do see a dip in achievement and growth, regardless of the cohort of students. We often see that, and then we often bounce way up above even sixth grade and eighth grade, okay? But this year, our sixth grade reading data was the highest. It was higher than seventh or eighth, and our sixth grade math data had the highest growth. That's something to monitor and to look at. It could be a cohort thing. It could be something more, but I just thought I'd share that too. So.
I appreciate that. And what it could be is that we have students often pre-K-12 and certainly K-12. And so it could be the presence of systems that are aligned, certainly K-12. And so I appreciate that.
And I do think our reading, that we could be seeing some of the benefits of the new reading program, K-5, that's now in like our third year. Second, okay, well, sorry. But maybe we are seeing some benefits of some changes.
And let me say that, we are very intentional in our student growth goals and our evaluation tools. And so one thing that we have focused on is making sure, especially in social studies, that we embed ELA standards within the scope and sequence of the curriculum. So that's some of the reasons why you also see that curriculum jump in reading and ELA as well. So we've had intentional conversations about vertical alignment, spiraling, and things of that nature. And so we are doing a lot of collaboration across disciplines as far as social studies, science, and also math and ELA. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I know I just joined the board, but if I could take a point of privilege, I wanted to say thank you to you at LMS. When my older child started at LMS, we were new to Ladue, and now I have an 8th grader, and I think I want to cry. But everybody tells you that middle school is bumpy, to say the least. And both a combination of welcoming a new family to Ladue and also nurturing them through admittedly very hormonal years, you all do God's work. So I wanted to say thank you for that, since our family's time at LMS is ending. And I also wanted to speak to expanded recess. I have an exuberant 8th grader, but I have noticed, since there has been expanded recess, the need to discharge excess energy when he comes back home to me has been decreased, and it has been actually easier to sit down and do homework because they haven't been like bottling up all this extra. So, thank you.
Our afternoon classes too. That's the thing that was showing up in afternoon classes.
Yes, so I just wanted to say thank you.
I'll say a couple of things. Also, I'll say, Dr. Knight, the sixth graders are having a blast. So at a minimum, I know Pablo gave you a great shout out for all of your work, but they love that place, those sixth graders. So you're doing something else great over there too. I'm very excited for the schedule, and I know Marissa hit on this, but I think it was really brave. Because I think that a lot of times we're guilty of this as a district collectively. When it's not broken on paper, don't fix it, because we can be not intimidated, but those who are nervous about change or don't want change, who can sometimes be the loudest in the room, maybe few in number, but louder than what we would expect. Sometimes we say no. And Dr. Thompson, you didn't even let anyone have a chance to know it was coming, and you blew the socks off of it before anybody could even tell you no, which is so brave of you, and I'm so proud of you. I know it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait for it. So thank you for doing that, because like I said, on paper, everyone in the country would say, oh, Ladue Middle School is a standard of perfection. And so thank you for that. And I'm excited for it. So great presentation. Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Whipke knows what I'm thinking right now. What number am I in the state of Missouri?
Do you really want me to say?
Number one.
You're a very, very good number.
We're a good number.
Well, I use that more as like a general,
Also
just kind of, I don't know what number you are. You're number one in my heart, Angela. No.
Number one in our
But that
hearts.
wasn't really the point. The point really was is that it's, sometimes we shy away from change because we don't want the criticism that may come from the thought of change. And so, but this was about as big as it can get. And so,
appreciate it.
Great
The
job.
only one thing
Yeah.
I'll add to what Jennifer is saying, and it goes with your all's presentation today, and I know we've had some conversations around this. The board has definitely had some conversations around the book Anxious Generation, right? And we've all talked about that. I believe you guys were thinking along those lines before Anxious Generation was so popular, including the extra recess or the opportunity to have a longer recess and get active. And you mentioned cell phones and doing away with technology for a while. So that was intentional on your part, and I definitely appreciate all of that. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment. I think the 84% sense of belonging in all of those categories is a tremendous reflection on the diversity of your staff, the diversity of thought that's allowed to happen in your building, all of the innovation and creativity in how we deliver education at LMS. So I just want to say thank you for that, and I think it's important that when students can see themselves reflected in spaces and see others reflected in spaces, that it shows that I can be here and I can belong here too. So I think that goes a long way.
Did I remember, was there no, what was the jump in that? What was last year's numbers, if you know?
I looked at it. I don't have it for exact, right? I can send it to you.
Because it feels, I was not surprised to say that because it feels really true, just from someone who drives kids around in the middle school, that is, they are spending time with students of different backgrounds differently in the last 12 months than they ever have.
Sure.
And that's not fluff.
Yeah.
Just on the ground floor, that's real.
Those two bottom points were ones that humbled me my first or second year in just looking at that number. So that was one that I, in particular, pulled. And I'll share you the 3-year.
As I saw that number, I said, for real? Like, it's so, I was curious what that jump was in the last 12 months. Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to provide also, Pablo, for you the quadrant charts that we just summarized them, but we can provide those charts for you.
Thank you so much to the Best Middle School team.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. And our last information of the item of the evening, Dr. Macy and Mike Noonan. I don't know if you're coming up. Just wanting to say hi up to you and Arthur.
Oh, they're definitely coming up.
Oh, I guess you're coming up, Mike. No choice.
So I usually get the opportunity to kind of be the face behind these project presentations, but the work that Mike Noonan does is truly the boots on the ground and the development phase and working with the civil engineers, working closely with Arthur from BRS, who is our consultant. So this is truly a team effort that started last year with the 23-24 Facilities Planning Board Advisory Committee. So these two projects we're going to discuss tonight actually evolved from those meetings and updating the facilities master plan. We are bringing these bids this evening for discussion because these bids are going to come with them opportunities that we can expand upon, or we can look at just exploring the base bid at this opportunity and moving forward with the work. So these two projects, in terms of budget, they're very close to total budget, but what we saw was that the high school parking lot came in lower than what we had estimated, and the West Campus came in a little bit higher. So in total, though, we're right at that number where we anticipated when we actually talked about these projects at the board retreat. So based on those conversations at the board retreat for our two new board members, we discussed with the board at that point in time the opportunity of transferring money from our general operating fund, Fund 1 and 2, to Fund 4. Moving those funds to Fund 4 provides us the opportunity to invest in capital projects, which are one-time expenditures and crucial to the infrastructure of the school, and really those fixed assets are the investment in the school district. So the two projects we're talking about, the first one that we're going to talk about is the West Campus reconfiguration. I did land on reconfiguration today because it is kind of a renovation, a redesign, a reconfiguration. But this project provides us an opportunity to expand on the tennis courts. We currently have 5 tennis courts out there. This project will provide the build out of 8 new tennis courts, which complies with MISHA standards for hosting competitions and supporting a world-class tennis program. So the plan would be to demo the existing tennis courts, and Arthur's going to talk through a visual here in a minute, add in some parking, and then build out the 8 tennis courts where that bio basin is on that main level. With that, we also included the opportunity to combine the baseball and softball field and move away from that natural surface into that turf opportunity. When you look at the week that we had last week and the fact that those fields are situated at the bottom 3rd tier of that tiered property, it is very challenging to get all of the competitions in on an annual basis and have a suitable practice opportunity for those athletes. The high school project, and again, Arthur's going to talk through some visuals here in a minute to provide you an opportunity to ask questions, but the high school parking lot involves the expansion of the existing parking lot. So the district purchased the adjoining property several years ago. I always get this wrong. I believe it's the north lot, Mike? Yes. So the property is situated right next to the north lot. And we worked with the city of Ladue to approve a plan where we're able to expand that parking lot and add 64 spaces to the parking lot. Parking is always a big concern at the high school, not just for the day-to-day students, but also for the evening activities. And one thing that we looked at too is it's going to provide us an opportunity to potentially expand some parking for some Conway events that happen later on in the day, some of those class parties and things of that nature. So we have worked with Brad to position students in there that maybe appreciate a non-traditional schedule. So they might come in late or they might leave early, but it could provide us some opportunity for some Conway families to possibly park there should we have some events. With that, what Mike Noonan will tell you, he told me when I first got here, the north and the south lots, the existing lots, have taken a beating since Prop R. So they endured and weathered that construction. Shortly after the completion of Prop R, MSD came in with a MSD expansion project, and they were digging up the property and expanding in the Deer Creek project. And that project was designed to happen probably 3 years prior than it did. But we have completed that work, and we are ready to address that lot and redo both of those lots. So, Arthur, I'm going to let you talk through the visuals. I probably have to click, though.
This is an overall plan of the west campus showing the rear portion of the lot. On the left-hand side of the screen is the edge of the fifth grade center building that you see. The tennis courts and the new parking are situated over what is now currently the tennis courts closer to the building, and then a detention basin that is in the area of the new tennis courts. That area will be filled and reconfigured so that we maintain the drive loop around the building, and then we also net about 34 additional spaces, parking spaces there at the West Campus. That works in with the West Campus Plaza restroom building we recently built, and then the playground that is currently situated there, also providing a little bit of extra space for, I believe, some expansion they're going to do at the playground. The path to the fields on the far right of the plan wraps around the tennis courts, goes back to the combination baseball and softball field. That is a fully artificial turf installation. It does sit in the same footprint that the existing baseball field sits. Due to some changes to zoning, we were required to leave the field where it lies, and it does work out. It does have new dugouts, new bullpens, new double bullpens on each side, a new double batting tunnel. There are some options that Jeff's talked about. One is a restroom facility that's there between the tunnels and the field. And then there's also the option of a press box that would be a second floor on top of the home dugouts in right field. There is an opportunity we also have that we'll talk more about in a little bit. There at below the softball and baseball field, that is a practice infield area. That's currently where the existing softball field sits, and we have the opportunity to improve that a little bit, and we're going to talk through some numbers on that as well. Any questions?
I should know the answer to this, but I actually don't. And I had a parent reach out to me who saw this on the agenda and asked if part of this improvement to the baseball field will include new scoreboards or anything like that. Maybe also asking for soccer, and the middle field is used for field hockey and lacrosse.
Currently, it includes updates to the existing scoreboard for the baseball field.
Baseball
which would
only,
serve
okay.
the baseball and softball combination field.
Okay, thank you.
Will there be a new biobasin in this
Yes,
area?
So in the far right-hand corner, there is an existing detention basin. It will be enlarged to be one central source of detention for the entire campus. We currently have two facilities that are serving that. The one we're going to abandon, which is under the new tennis courts, is going to be consolidated into that one in the far right-hand corner. It's going to be slightly enlarged. We are adding a bio basin, which is about midway in on the drawing at the bottom, a little trapezoidal shape there. That's a new bio basin that provides for our water treatment.
I see. Okay. And so then, and when you say far right, like all the way to the right side of the property line, which would be what, the south end?
Just south
Yeah.
of the baseball softball.
Okay. And it's that whole side would
It's
be
the
a
whole-
retention?
It's the whole side, yes.
Okay.
We're utilizing some existing wall structure that's there. We're lengthening it a bit and then changing the grades, but it will be enlarged.
Okay. Great. And what is the construction timeline?
The intent is to start as soon as, well, June 1st is the intent to begin. It is not a summer project. It is going to take till the end of the year for certain to be able to complete that.
To the end of the calendar year or the end of the school year?
End of the calendar year, I'm sorry.
Okay. So end of 2025.
At this point, realizing that we do have some unknowns when it comes to soils, when it comes to weather, things of that nature, but the current construction schedule that's currently contracted and bid is to the end of the calendar year.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Is there a plan in place, I'm sure there is, with Nick and the athletic department for the softball team, the girls softball team in the fall and the girls tennis team in the fall? Well, the tennis team, I guess, will stay at the middle school. Is there a plan in place for the softball team?
So we've been working with the high school, with Greg and Nick both, to ensure that we have practice locations for everybody, understanding that the displacement will come this fall. The other scenario that's going to be a real scenario too is we're going to have some outside rental groups that will probably be displaced this summer too, as we try to maintain a safe construction site. So we are actively working. Mike is taking the lead on that and working with Nick to make sure that everybody has some place to go, so that we can make sure that we get through the fall season without skipping a beat.
I also can add to that. I talked to Katie Solomon, our softball coach, today, and I know that Nick's giving her some options and some choices that will fit her needs as well.
So practice is one thing. What about home games that would be played? So would there be no home games for the softball team, or would there just be a distinct alternate location?
So that is the initial intent right now that Nick is working on, is scheduling away games for just this particular season to get through the construction phase.
And then my other question with regards to the practice infield that's to the south of the new field, is that going to be turf as well, or that's going to remain?
So that's a great question. So to answer that question, let's talk a little bit through the bids and what we bid as the base bid with the alternate opportunities. So the most qualified base bid we have at this point in time is just over $4.5 million. That base bid does not include the press box. So the press box would be an additional $110,000. The restroom, which would be very small, it would be just 2 single units that would be the restroom. That price came in at $375,000. And then the other alternate that we asked for numbers for was making the tennis courts post-tension concrete. So right now what we have are asphalt tennis courts. We have those at the middle school. I believe that they're asphalt at the 5th grade center right now. The post-tension concrete, and I have technical people behind me, but what I will tell you about the concrete is they are much more durable, and they are more state-of-the-art in terms of tennis as a sport. Is there any additional detail you want to add about the post-tension?
Nothing to add, just a significant upfront cost, but it does pay off in terms of performance and durability.
The additional practice area came up a couple different times, but it came up just the other day when we were talking to the high school in regards to a press box. They said based off of their experience with baseball and the fact that we don't have a big sound system out there, partially by design with the city of Creve Coeur, that they felt like the press box wouldn't necessarily be a priority that they would see. They would be more in line with looking at maybe creating that multi-purpose turf practice area that could not only be used by baseball and softball, but it could also be used by the many other sports that are out there and provide just another opportunity for other athletes and other sports to get on the multi-surface as well. So that's where that extra practice area came up. It also came up too in the fact that with a facility like this, we really see an increase in our facility rentals right now. We're going to have to displace some soccer programs that are displaced because of the tornado this summer. But when you put in a baseball field like that, you have the opportunity for people to say, we want to use that, or we want to host a tournament there. And this would provide an opportunity for you to have a team and a stage, a softball team could actually warm up in that area, and you could move right into another contest and maximize your total amount of games. So that's where that concept came from with the practice facility. We don't quite have fixed numbers on that because that's relatively new in terms of putting in the turf there. But we will certainly have those before we ask the board to approve the base bid and any combination of alternate bids that the board would like to move forward with.
I have, oh, go ahead. I have two questions. One, the restrooms, since we did just build the restrooms, I know these would be down at the baseball, on the level down there, so people wouldn't have to come up to the top?
They would be. These were added late. This came at the suggestion of a board member to go ahead and price those out, which makes sense while we're already pricing out the total project. When we look at the restrooms that we just built and then adding additional restrooms down there, I do think that it would be something that would be appreciated by spectators.
Sure.
But I will tell you, $375,000 for 2 small restrooms. Thinking about, what we've heard from the high school, I wouldn't say that would necessarily be a priority in our recommendation.
Okay. And my next question, is a press box, is that only for baseball? Is that like what we have at the top of the football stadium? Is that a press box?
Similar, so it would be a baseball press box. So
Okay.
it would be elevated above. You could put a scorekeeper there. You could put an announcer there. But my understanding is they play music in between innings, but they typically only do the announcer at senior days for baseball and softball.
Okay.
No, sorry, my thing's on.
Sorry, I just had a quick one. Since it sounds like the press box and the additional restrooms are not really being pushed by the high school athletic program, I guess keeping in mind the potential desire from third parties to host tournaments or whatever else there, does the addition of those features, I guess it makes it a little more attractive, but are those things that they look for? And I guess because what I'm looking for is, do those additional features, it's what, $480,000, you said $110 for the press box, $370 for the 2 restrooms. Do we make that back in, 5 years? Do we make that $480,000 back, and therefore its useful life is 25 years? Terrific. We then, for the next 20 years, it's just sort of enjoyed this additional revenue from these third parties using this facility. Or is it not that simple? We kind of don't know what they want, and therefore we may pay extra for these features that don't justify their cost.
No, I think that's a great point. I think when I look at it, it's a scenario of, the rentals aren't going to come overnight. The opportunities aren't going to come overnight. And really, when you look at the restrooms we just built with the playground, with the open space, right now I believe that the space is very marketable for anybody that's looking for a space. And I would also say too that when you look at some of these complexes, at least the ones that I'm most familiar with, many of them have a centralized restroom, and then you have multiple fields built all around those restrooms. So I would say that the West Campus restrooms was a huge, huge project and a great success. But I really do think at this point in time, we can evaluate whether or not that particular structure addresses those needs, because we would always have the opportunity to work with Creve Coeur. Now, we would have to get it rezoned, we would have to go back to them, but I would say that Creve Coeur is an exceptional partner, and we could tell them at this point in time, we're not ready to move forward with the restroom, but we definitely want to make sure that they're aware of our intention to potentially revisit that somewhere down the road.
Okay,
That's
that's
our-
great to know.
Goes to one of my questions. If we can, and I know the answer, we can zone it now and not build it. It's not equivalent to if you're going to build a new construction building and it's cheaper to finish the lower level, the basement at the time of build. I mean, correct? It doesn't cost us any money to wait. It just market fluctuation. It
So-
doesn't.
So I did ask that question before to Arthur, just full disclosure. So we would have to come back anytime we disturb and redo it, but that's where we would say, we intend to revisit this in the future just to make sure they understand our intention. But they would make us go through the process if we wanted to add a restroom 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Okay, you can't zone it now. And, okay. I have several questions. They're short. When we're talking about Creve Coeur, did anybody ask about how they feel about a light or two? Is that something that's been thrown out to Creve Coeur or to the neighbors? I know we have lovely neighbors who love the usage on the weekends surrounding, and they're, great cooperating neighbors with the fifth grade center property. So anyway, did anyone?
So historically, we've been directed to keep noise and light from scoreboards down. So full disclosure, we did not inquire about the additional lights at this point in time, but it is something that we can always go back and look at.
Does it make sense to get a number like we did for the restrooms? I mean, we as a board haven't, I don't think, had that conversation. I haven't heard it come up in any of the facilities brainstorm sessions, but I don't know if I'm the only one, would be curious to know just the cost. I do think that, we were successful in an MOU with the city of Ladue that was sort of a slow build.
You mean for lights? Is what you're saying?
For lights, a slow.
I thought you said restrooms.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on lights. But similar to restrooms, how we just kind of, a board member requested, can we give a ballpark figure to what that may be, and we want to add it on? I would be curious, I don't know if anyone else would be, about the cost of that. And like I said, Jim, Dr. Whippy was a great partner in sort of building us up from zero to a great partnership with Ladue on the usage of our lights and scoreboards and sounds. And if it was something that benefited our students, if once a year, our girls softball team got a big senior night under the lights that's memorable. I mean, I would want to just kind of know what the cost of that would be.
Would you want us to inquire about tennis? Because anecdotally, I've heard about tennis.
And I mean, also.
And then, by the way, you can, if you're wanting to make money, Peter, our entrepreneur of sports over here, not badminton, pickleball under the lights. I mean, come on.
Come on, it's the
Mr.
best.
Garapi.
Well, we've got to get Misha to add that then.
Okay, so I would,
And
that
what
was
about on
my,
the soccer field? Just
while we're
saying.
talking about Creve Coeur, maybe.
Just a couple lights.
If you could bid that out, if,
We can.
inquire.
I think we can inquire.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about I have a couple questions, and again, can you go back to the slide with the designs that, and I've said this admittedly, this is not a map, but like, I'm terrible at maps. It's just this one weird thing I'm not good at. Of many things I'm not good at. But okay, how many, and you may have said this number, how many parking spaces is this? And I'm sure you said it, and it's in previous.
There's additional 34.
Additional
34
So how many
spaces.
total parking spaces do we know?
At the entire site?
Yeah, at the site.
I don't have that information at the moment, but I can get it.
But we feel. We're adding 34.
We're up 34 with this.
Okay, and so, Mr. Rutherford or Dr. Wilson, so how, is this changing? Talk to me about the back of the building and the carpool drop-off and stuff, because So what happens when we're still talking about Creve Coeur is that sometimes it's more of a morning problem. But when we back up with the buses and carpool at the fifth grade center, the traffic in that block, I mean, you've got kids jumping out of cars, running across Ladue Road, and so, which we've talked about. And so if it's, I'm just curious, just to keep it on the radar of if we're taking away real estate from the school carpool, to think about, I'm not saying to change this, but to make sure that we don't catch anybody off guard. I think the students, their access, they do use the tennis courts for recess and PE right now, and I think that probably won't change based on proximity, I don't think. Again, this is not how my brain works. But I was wondering about the backup onto Ladue Road at 725, which is not always the safest, and lots of people trying to make left turns in there, and there's nowhere to go.
So demoing the existing courts won't reduce the amount of space for that drive lane. The other thing that we specified with the contractors was that one of the conditions of bidding was that they get all of that demo work done this summer, because we absolutely have to maintain access to that lane all the way around the building. So
Okay.
we're trying to minimize the disruption to the FGC as best as we can.
And again, that's just more of a safety thing that kind of floods out into Creve Coeur traffic safety situation. I mean, because it's almost like they need a officer right in the morning, like for that 10 minutes. I mean, it can be problematic for them and for us and for our parents. Okay, one last question. What is the, okay, you know what? I'm good. Thank you.
So I had a couple questions too. So with, I'm assuming the dark lines are the path to get down to the field, is that correct?
It's not showing up clearly on this slide, but there's a gray shade to the path that takes you there. It's slightly, if you look just north of the tennis courts, you'll see a path that wraps around the corner. That's the path taking you, it kind of goes angled down the slope, and then it connects to the existing path at that point and travels back to the softball field the way it currently does.
Okay, so that will stay as existing?
It will stay in the same location. More than likely, the contractor's going to disturb the remainder of it just for having to get to the field, so they'll reinstall it if they do disturb it.
Okay, and I know typically, well, last I was there was the Ladue the Ladue Uber, the cart that would take people up and down. So I don't know if that's still something that would be accessible, because it just looks like, I know that's a deep slope as you go down.
The carts are even
like
better
from
now.
behind where the tennis courts
The
are.
carts are even better now. The golf carts are even better now. They're like, you can ride on the back.
No, I'm talking about walking. Just I mean,
walking.
even when you're walking, it's just a slope. It's
Yeah.
the grade is kind of steep. So just even walking, and then from the field hockey down to that hill as well. So my other question was, if I was considering the lights as well, is it possible if we were to put lights that we could put potentially like one pole midway between the field hockey and the baseball field that could light both on either side? If you understand what I'm saying.
I think I do. I don't believe we'd be able to light it in that fashion to a gameplay level.
Okay. And then my last question is, I don't necessarily think that $375,000 is good money spent just to put a bathroom closer, although I know when you have to go and making it all the way up that hill is a trek for athletes and parents. But what does it look like to expand the current bathrooms? Is that an option, to put more stalls there and to expand that building rather than building an entirely separate building? Just a question.
My opinion, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My opinion would be that the number of stalls in the plaza building that was just built is adequate. It's just simply a proximity issue. But I agree with you personally. That's a high price for 2 toilets.
Yeah, so.
But it's strictly just a proximity issue as far as my feeling about it.
Okay. And can you remind me how many stalls are in the current restroom?
I believe there's an equivalent of 4 on each side.
Four,
I
okay.
believe.
Okay, thank you.
And those were for, I'm sorry, those were for 2 separate gender-specific bathrooms?
Yeah, what I would call 2 single-holder bathrooms.
Okay,
Door
but
with
would
a
it be
single-
cheaper to just have, instead of 2 separate, could you just do them to, like a urinal, a toilet, and a sink, and just call it one? And would that be, is the building of the 2 separate more expensive? Are we first trying to be efficient and let someone use the restroom quickly? Is there a cheaper way to build that?
It's not
The new one,
the
yeah.
fixtures, the number of fixtures won't lead to inefficiency. It's the utilities and the infrastructure just simply to serve it at that point.
Okay.
We could reduce some costs by going with 1 instead of 2 for sure, but the infrastructure would remain the same.
When we, I know when our students are hosting events or having practices out there, there is the Uber, the golf cart, the trainer, and I think there's 2 actually. When we are hosting events for outside organizations, are those services still available? Okay, so if we're hosting a baseball tournament, although I don't know who hosts a baseball tournament with 1 field, but just say we are, those people would have to walk up to, okay.
Which I would say is similar to maybe
Absolute,
campuses in our
Chesterfield
area
or,
in
yeah.
terms of parking proximity to the
Yes.
destination that you're going to.
And it's not dissimilar to have 1 bathroom set by the pavilion area of any sort of outdoor sports complex. We're not I don't think we're setting ourselves up to be underwhelming in facility offerings. I think that's a nice to have, not need to have for the extra bathrooms. So, I mean, I appreciate the bid, and I think that even your notion to sort of be over-communicative with Creve Coeur that this may be coming down some other time, just to sort of clear that in writing, in paper, and meeting of the minds is great. But I also agree with everyone who's voiced that it's maybe isn't the most resourceful use of what we're doing.
I think this has been a really good conversation. I appreciate Jeff and Arthur and Mike bringing it to everyone. This is only information, but if I could kind of maybe try and filter down a little bit, and please feel free to disagree. But I do hear a little bit of a consensus around making sure that the tennis courts are built with the right tension. I kind of got in the feel that everybody would be, and based upon what we've seen at the middle school with all of the cracks and water seepage and all of that. And then what I'm hearing also, and again, if it's not a majority, let me know, but what I'm hearing is that you would like Mike and his team here to go ahead and start to price out some lights. Okay. And then maybe one thing that we'll do is we'll put some more information in the weekend update, and we can keep talking. I'm not trying to end. I'm just trying to get to a point of a little bit of clarification, but we'll need to make, have some further conversation when we want to go into action. And I'm not trying to put words in people's mouths, but I'm hearing probably not the bathroom, and I'm hearing probably, not the bathroom and press box, thank you, but there is a possibility that we would want the extension of the field. So that's kind of where I feel like we're landing for right now. Doesn't mean it can't change by the next time we got here, but that's what I'm surmising from the conversation.
I have a couple, can I jump onto that? For the lights, if we're gonna bid them, we can, if you could, kind of price them out for each individual field. And then we can, like to see the whole number and then kind of peel off. practically speaking, I'd love to see the priority if we're going to spend the time and money with Creve Coeur and our resources on lights, doing it for baseball, softball, because there is opportunity for field hockey. I know lacrosse is a club sport, and I can't speak for soccer, but I think so, to play under our lights at the high school and have that opportunity where we don't have that for baseball and softball kids to play under the lights. Or tennis. So where I'd like to see a cost for all 3, 4 options. If I think that
I would actually push back on that and say, I don't want to see it for the soccer. I take it back what I said, the soccer or the middle field, because I think if we have to pull those out, I'd rather just not even enter into that conversation, because you're right, they can play at our lit high school field. Everyone gets an opportunity.
Yeah.
Probably twice a year, like softball.
Because I know
track's there all the
something that
time.
Dr. Whipke really partnered with the athletic department to make sure happened.
And I would
so-
say that we need to probably find out from Creve Coeur if this is even an option before
Yeah.
we start pricing anything.
Of course, but I
Yeah.
mean, if it takes nothing to price it, and then at least we can tell, our patrons that it's Creve Coeur said no, not
Right.
us.
Absolutely.
Yes, but that was sort of where I went with the light. So maybe, to Marissa's point, if anyone else wants to jump in, I'm still okay to see the cost for all of it, but if you think it's harder to take it away, then. I don't want to be the one.
To say, nope, just kidding, lacrosse. We priced it, but we're not going to do it.
I'm okay with that, they can play here, but.
I think we should at least and the reason I say this is, like, particularly when you get into the fall, and after that fall time change, like, oh my God, it's dark by,
Yeah.
5 o'clock? And so it's not even a senior night, under the lights, memorable experience. It's, can you safely finish practice and then get out of there?
I would say that most of the fall sports are done by that time. Yeah, they're done by November.
And I guess that's the thing, and are they done out of necessity rather than preference? Simply
It's
because-
November, it's November.
Misha,
Yeah.
that's determined by the state.
I will say this, Peter, I do think you make a valid point from what I have seen, but it really doesn't impact our varsity teams, it impacts the JV teams.
That may be, yeah.
Because they'll have the varsity play first to make sure there's enough light. And that has happened where the JV team will play a 20-minute second half, because of the light.
Well, and I guess, and one of the things that I really, not to dive way back, but when we were really applauding, rightfully so, a lot of the work that has gone on with the middle school, with a lot of their expansion of activities, to the extent we can support that with the high school, and then also the middle school, if we do have the facilities to accommodate it. And this may be additional activities on the weekends outside of a school day, but to the extent that, I'm not looking to make enemies with our neighbors, and I am grateful for Creve Coeur and particularly those in the surrounding neighborhoods. But if we can at least have those conversations on what it looks like to make that if this is a $5 million project to run the power and put these things up, then then maybe now is not the time. But if we can do this and the surrounding community is open to it, and we can then expand the capacity of our existing footprint simply by lighting it, I would at least love to have that, and then what that could do for opening up additional access to our property, to our students and families. So, but thank you guys for going through this exercise.
I got one quick question. I didn't see it, it wasn't mentioned, but are there stands for the tennis courts?
There's a zone in between the two of them. You can see that wide gray area that will allow for some small bleachers to be set up
Okay.
in that area.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the high school parking lot.
Love a park. What is happening with the speed bumps? Will you address that in your remarks?
All right, the area we're talking about is the upper part of the slide. There's a little triangle, and again, that's not showing up particularly well on this slide. Little triangular area there along Warson Road. If you could switch to the, I'm supposed to switch to the next slide. Got it. This is that triangular area. The orientation is changed. The Warson Road is on the bottom of the screen. There is this is an additional 64 spaces to the existing parking lot. We do lose some spaces in the existing lot for the entrance and the exit. There is a landscape buffer that runs around two sides, one on Morrison Road and then one between the neighbor. We do have a privacy fence between that neighbor and our lot. This lot is lit and the landscaping is fully irrigated as per City of Ladue. That's about all I have. Any questions?
Yes, I do have questions. So this one is one way in and one way out.
Yes.
So I'm imagining, I know that this is maybe designated for students who have, don't have the 7:30 to 2:30 schedule.
Correct, that's my understanding.
When they are, and maybe Mike and Jeff want to address this as well, I'm imagining the end of the day, when those people have to turn left out of that parking, they're going to have to turn right and go all the way around, because it's right only, correct? Okay. Okay, that's actually better, because I was thinking of them trying to turn left, and that would be terrible. Right now, the speed bumps are like plastic things that are kind of held together but kind of falling apart, and I think actually they've maybe disappeared at this point. What is the plan for, are they going to be concrete speed bumps? Are we going to stay with the plastic? What's just having a high schooler and?
We'll be able to make the speed bumps out of asphalt.
Okay,
and
so there'll be a
that way
permanent
they're
part,
permanent, yeah.
so they cannot be picked up or kicked
correct.
or
Correct.
moved around at the will of young people? Or people, or children. Okay, thank you.
So this particular project, again, we estimated it to be much higher than it came in. We believe that the whole project would be approximately 2.1 million. So we had a base bid of just the parking lot addition. So the base bid was $798,000. The redo of the north lot was $259,900, and then redoing the south lot is $167,000 for a total of just over $1.2 million. Based off of those numbers and this project being fairly straightforward, we would like to ask the board to approve this on the 22nd so that we can work with the contractor to ensure that we maintain a timeline of starting and completing in the summer. What we don't want to do is have students and staff disrupted similarly to the MSD project and a reduced scope of parking. So understanding this project is significantly different than the one we just spoke about, that would be the timeline if the board saw fit that we could approve and then get this project scheduled, work with the contractor, and get it moving as soon as students are out.
So that will be the only area of business we'll try and take care of on the 22nd. I do apologize for that, but we don't want to delay it and then have a chance of not getting it done by the start of the school year. We can put off the other topics that are going to have to be a little bit more lengthy in conversation, but we were hoping that everybody would see, hey, we got to get this parking lot done. So let's get it done on the 22nd. So we'll meet up here on the 22nd and have a quick conversation. We'll do our welcome for everybody, and then we'll be diving down on the floor with our patrons to have a conversation about legislation.
And then if we can write about it in the weekend update. I know we want to start up there for our welcome, but if possible, we could put this in a consent agenda. If there isn't any further discussion, based off of processing and communicating, but if anybody has any additional questions or concerns or has any ideas that they want us to take pause to, we can certainly move it to that May meeting. Our thought was just if we had an opportunity to get somebody under contract and get this going, it would help us meet that timeline.
I'm not opposed to it on the 22nd. I just don't think it needs to go in the consent agenda. I think it needs to be an open vote. My question also is, are you going to do once north side, then south side? I mean, so it's not a full disruption to the entire?
It'll be the south side first, happen during the summer, and then we'll be able to pave the north lot and the expansion all at the same time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So logistically speaking, and again, I'm not great at these maps. So this is going to be the non-traditional schedule, because the city of Ladue, if you track my memory, had some concerns about
Whoa.
the amount of cars that overflow onto Warson at that 2:30 or 7:30, right? So we have 65 kids that are going to, how are we, are we just going
Between
to say
se-
we tried, and so whoever
65
parks there, or
seniors.
are we going to, what's the system for this?
Senior privilege is probably going to be a lot of it. Kids who come in late or leave early. Kids who are in Catalyst.
Is there going to be a separate pass on your car?
No, it's the same pass. It's just how it's assigned instead of.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
We've done this before.
I just had a really quick one. Are there any lights that will go in just for the sake of like security? And it's not like we're gonna, although these could be your pickleball courts.
So yes, there are lights. The lights were part of the approval process with the city of Ladue.
Terrific. Thank you.
We got plenty of lights up here. Right?
Yeah, well, we can see the parking lot from right here.
So we will have this in open as an action item on the 22nd, which is our legislative work session. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Don't leave. Any more questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very thorough presentation. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, at 9:09. Thank you, Keisha.
Second.
Amy, I'm giving you the second, your first one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone. See you on the 22nd.